welcome you live to Allen E. Paulson Stadium in Statesboro, Georgia for this NCAA College Football 1AA semifinal game featuring the third-ranked Eagles of Georgia Southern and the 15th-ranked Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. Hello, everyone. I'm Jerry Punch, along with Randy Wright. Mike Gleason will join us in just a moment from the field. Welcome to a very chilly Statesboro, Georgia. You know, Randy, on the one side of the field, you got a 1AA heavyweight Georgia Southern, a six-time national champion. Across the field, you got the Cinderella story, Western Kentucky, that's never made it this far in the playoffs. Both teams had to win 2 games to get here, and both teams did it the same way, running the football.
Boy, 2 of the best in the country at running the football. Combined, these teams average over 650 yards a game. Georgia Southern, they do it with the triple option, led by their quarterback, Chaz Williams, and his 26 touchdowns. Western Kentucky, their go-to guy, their tailback, John Frazier, well over 1,200 yards and really playing his best football the last couple of weeks.
All right, take a look at Western Kentucky's head coach, 63-year-old Jack Harbaugh, his 14th year at the helm of the Hilltoppers, 7 consecutive winning seasons, 3rd time in a row in the playoffs. And across the field, 44-year-old Mike Seawalk, a first-year head coach for the Eagles after 5 years as their offensive coordinator. Set to kick it off for Georgia Southern is Scott Shelton, the senior out of Savannah, Georgia. And back to receive, it'll be Antonio Fields as it bounds out of the end zone. Take a look at the Hilltoppers field general. 5th-year senior transfer from Army quarterback Jason Michael leads the team with almost 2,000 yards of total offense. Their backs and receivers, 2 seniors in the backfield. All-conference running back John Frazier posted 7+ 100-yard rushing games this year. And, of course, there's the big 275-pound fullback Jeremy Johnson, the transfer from Indiana. Georgia State won the toss, by the way, deferred to the second half, thus giving Western Kentucky the opening possession here in this one. The inside handoff, big opening up front, almost to the 30-yard line. Gain of 9. Take a look at the Hilltoppers offensive line, one of the largest in 1AA, averaging 6'3", 301 pounds, led by 2-time All-American left guard Chris Price.
Freddie Pesqueda anchors a very active defensive front, leads his team in both sacks and tackles behind the line of scrimmage.
Gain of 9 on that opening play. Talked about the massive size of this Western Kentucky offensive front and a fairly small defensive front. As the option, big opening left side, near side, down to the 44-yard line comes Jason Michael. Take a look at the Eagle linebackers. Joe Scott leads the team in total tackles. Despite his size, he is tenacious in the middle of the field.
Strong safety David Young makes his 33rd consecutive start today, and he won't be shy when he comes up to put a hit on you.
Opening possession for Western Kentucky, 15th ranked team in the country, taking on number 3, Georgia Southern. We mentioned the Hilltoppers have never made it to the semifinals in 1AA competition. Michael back to pass, will tuck it and be chased. Barely gets back to the line of scrimmage. Winston Hardison there to make the stop. And just a reminder, coming up momentarily, part of the country will be headed down to Lake Charles, Louisiana, where Mark Malone and Rod Gilmore will have the other semifinal game. Top-ranked McNeese State taking on Villanova. Villanova, a surprise entry there, having beaten Furman and Fordham to make it to the semifinal. And now they have to go take on number 1 McNeese State. It's coming up here in just a few minutes from Lake Charles, Louisiana. Inside handoff, gain of 4. As we check in on the sidelines with the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Mike Gleason.
Well, Doc, before the game, Jack Harbaugh told his team basically, just go out and make the best of an opportunity. He said he's 63 years old, never had a chance to play in a national championship game. Even all those great years they had at Michigan. He said, you're 18, 19, 20 years old. Make the most of it. And David Ellison, the defensive coordinator, basically told me what he told us yesterday, that when they're on the defensive side of the ball, they have to play assignment perfect football. Not just assignment football, but assignment perfect. I'll let you guys explain later.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. Opening possession. Western Kentucky moving the football wide open. The pass complete inside the 45-yard line. And that is Shannon Hayes, the junior wide receiver from McKenzie, Tennessee.
This Western Kentucky offense, it's about first downs, moving the chains, positive yardage. Short drop there by Michael. Sees his receiver, Shannon Hayes, right over the middle, wide open. Get him the ball early, let him turn up the field, move the sticks. Not negative plays. First downs, positive yards. That's what this offense is all about.
Moving the ball very effectively on an Eagle defense that's allowed only 58 points in 8 home games this year. And have not allowed a rushing touchdown since the end of October. Big fullback gets the handoff inside, Jeremy Johnson.
Willie Taggart, the offensive coordinator for Western Kentucky, said he has to be patient with the running game, especially in the first and second quarter. They may not have some success running the inside game early, but with Jeremy Johnson and his 275 pounds, that will wear on this Georgia Southern defensive front as the game wears on. So though he may not pick up big yards early, the benefits will come in the third and fourth quarter.
7th play of this drive, opening possession. Georgia Southern only allowing 136 yards rushing on the year. Again, the fake inside on the option. And Jason Michael will take it, and it is nailed by Joe Scott, the middle linebacker, making his second tackle of the afternoon. Take a look at Western Kentucky's season recap. They were co-champions of the Gateway Conference along with Western Illinois, who they beat last week in the quarterfinals. Division I AA semifinal appearance. First time ever in the 1AA semifinals.
There's Willie Taggart in the middle with his hands over his head, concentrating there, the offensive coordinator for Western Kentucky, and got quite a game plan today.
3rd and 3, and stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Great hit by Derek Butler, the left linebacker, the sophomore from Orangeburg, South Carolina, and he abruptly stops that Hilltopper drive.
Well, these linebackers are very active for Georgia Southern. They fly around between Derek Butler, Joe Scott, and Michael Ward. All three of them are active and quick. When they can make contact behind that line of scrimmage, you know the defensive line is winning that battle.
That'll bring out Bryan Claiborne, the sophomore punter. And he will hit a low tumbler that'll hit at about the 12-yard line. Bound down inside the 5 and roll dead at the 2. So the opening possession for Georgia Southern will begin at their own 2-yard line. All right, opening possession for Georgia Southern. They are led by record-setting redshirt sophomore quarterback Chaz Williams out of Apopka, Florida, who set a Division I AA season record for rushing touchdowns by a quarterback with 26. Their backs and receivers, redshirt freshman Jermaine Austin, 1,288 yards rushing, earned him Southern Conference Freshman of the Year accolades. Inside, and Williams has nowhere to go as he barely gets out of the end zone. Take a look at the offensive line for Georgia Southern. All-conference senior center Charles Clark won the Jacobs blocking trophy. Indicates he's the best in the Southern Conference as an offensive lineman.
Defensive end Patrick Reynolds will be glued to fullback Jermaine Austin all day long, trying to shut down that first step in that option.
Off and the ball comes out. They're still scrambling for the football. Looks like Western Kentucky may have jumped on it. We'll wait till they clear the pile. This high-risk offense for Georgia Southern has turned it over. Only 4 turnovers in 2 playoff games thus far this year. As the Hilltoppers will dance off, Paul Maslowski recovers the fumble, his 4th of the year.
Take a look here, just an exchange mistake. It looks as though Williams wanted to give the ball to Austin, the fullback, and Austin not really feeling that the ball was going to be in there. There he gets, I take that back. He did get the handoff clean. That ball was just stripped out of his possession there. This game, as we said, for Western Kentucky, field position, first downs, moving the chains. They had the field position after the special teams. Now a golden opportunity to score.
Georgia Southern fought 40 fumbles this year. They've only lost 14 and only had 4 turnovers in the playoffs. But that one, a costly one early on. Big handoff inside to Maurice Bradley. They call him Mo Bradley. 4 postseason touchdowns, all of them on short yardage plays.
Boy, Doc, you talk about Mo Bradley being big at 6 foot, 245 pounds, and he's running behind Jeremy Johnson, the fullback, at 6 foot, at 6'1", 280 pounds. That's a lot of beef to try and take on.
But like the Jeremiah was a bullfrog, Jeremy was a freight train. 275-pounder out of Louisville, Kentucky. Transferring from Indiana. And we'll give it again to big Mo Bradley, and he fights his way down to about the 4-inch line, as it'll bring up 3rd and goal for Western Kentucky.
This offensive line for Western Kentucky, very big, averaging 285 pounds, so they've got a lot of size going against a much smaller Georgia Southern defensive front that just averages around the 250-pound mark.
3rd and goal. And the fans of Georgia Southern trying to rally their defense. Remember, they have not given up a rushing touchdown in 5 football games. October 26th, the last time the guys in blue have given up a touchdown on the ground. But they're 4 inches away from giving up one here on 3rd down. Hand off to the halfback, and he will come over. That is John Frazier, the senior from Central City, Kentucky. And Western Kentucky is on the board.
Western Kentucky putting the little Frazier in the backfield instead of the bigger Bradley, but when you're running behind Johnson, look at him clean up where the hole is, takes David Young, the strong safety, right out of the way, and Frazier gets in for the touchdown. And as you can see, Western Kentucky, a lot of success when they have touchdowns early.
And the extra point is up and good by Peter Martinez. So following the turnover, the handoff to tailback Frazier, and Western Kentucky breaks on top, 7-0. For Georgia, points off a turnover early for Western Kentucky. A drive of 3 plays, 4 yards, 1:21. They're up 7-zip. That man waiting on the football for Georgia Southern. Carl Kearney deep as Peter Martinez will tee it up. And it looks like Georgia Southern's high-powered triple option attack didn't have much chance to get cranking a moment ago after the turnover, so we'll tell you about the triple option here in just a moment. A sky kick and the fair catch called for at about the 30-yard line. Well, you want to understand the triple option? Who better to explain than their head coach?
Hello, I'm Mike Seawalk, and this is our version of the triple option here at Georgia Southern. We line up in double slot. We go from sideline to sideline with our wide receivers. We have 2 A-backs and a fullback. Our quarterback gets a post-snap read, and what he does is he's going to get the snap, and he's going to start down the line of scrimmage. Our fullback's going to run his track through there, and he's going to look. Our quarterback's going to read the defensive tackle. If the defensive tackle tackles the fullback, he will disengage and try to run the ball where the defensive tackle just left. The defensive end is his next read. If the defensive end tries to tackle our quarterback, then our quarterback will pitch it to the A-back. As the A-back comes in motion, he'll take the ball, and he'll end up being the sweep. What happens to you is you get to run the dive with your fullback, you get to run the off-tackle play with your quarterback, and you get to run the sweep with the A-back. That's Georgia Southern football.
And can't find a better explanation than that. Here's exactly what he's talking about.
Well, there's another version of it right here. This time the fullback comes out. He's the pitchback, so you can see they have the speed option, they have the interior run, they have the triple option, and all of them are predicated on the quarterback making a quick decision.
He made one there. Chaz Williams opted to keep it himself and gained 7 yards. Take a look at this offense under Seawalk. 5 years as an offensive coordinator, his first year as the head coach, and they can get it done offensively, moving the football. As you mentioned, Randy, #1 team in the nation in rushing.
Boy, look at that, 398 yards a game on the ground.
And they are down by 7. Big hole inside of the fullback, and Austin on his feet, and is finally tripped up at about the 34-yard line. Carl Burst is there after a gain of 29.
Well, this is the first step to the option right up the middle. The defensive tackle goes to the outside. Austin is wide open to just continue to pull through. Take a look at that run there as he's breaking tackles. Mike Gleason earlier talked about assignment football when talking to the Western Kentucky coaches. Assignment football, one player for the fullback, one player for the quarterback, one player for the pitchback. One man breaks down, you can have a big play like we just saw.
And what? Well, tonight ESPN has the Heisman Trophy presentation presented by Wendy's. It could be the most wide-open race in Heisman history as Ken Dorsey, Willis McGahee of Miami, Carson Palmer of USC, Larry Johnson of Penn State, and Brad Banks of Iowa have a shot at the most prestigious award in college football. That's the Heisman Trophy presentation presented by Wendy's coming up at 8 o'clock Eastern time tonight. Second possession for Georgia Southern. Another big opening left side, and that is Zreem Walden. His name is Zreem. They call him Z, so will we. Senior out of Marietta, Georgia, on the big gainer.
These two slot backs for Georgia Southern, they have a lot of success when they carry the ball because they're generally to the outside and it's one-on-one. Good blocking downfield by the other back, Myers. Take a look. There's a pitch. There's a block right there by 34 Myers. Does a great job of clearing that way for Walden. This time it was Walden carrying it. Next time it may be Myers. They block for each other.
Threatening now in their second possession. Inside handoff to Jermaine Austin. Will gain a couple of yards. There's a look at Chaz Williams, sophomore out of Apopka, Florida. Redshirt sophomore. Record setting. We talked about some of the records this young man has set this year, including touchdowns by a quarterback rushing in a single season.
You know, the other thing, Doc, he's carried the ball 275 times. That's a lot of hits for a guy that's only 5'10", 210 pounds.
Off again, fighting down to the 5-yard line. Again is Jermaine Austin. Paul Maslowski there, the linebacker, to make the stop.
One of the things Mike Seawalk was so impressed with, the two most important positions in terms of carrying the football for his offense, his quarterback, Chaz Williams, and his fullback, Jermaine Austin, are just a sophomore with Williams and a redshirt freshman in Austin. He didn't think these guys would develop quite at the pace they have. That's a big reason why they're in the semifinal game today.
Jermaine Austin, 6 carries for 46 yards, and this just their second possession. As Williams will take it himself, heads to the end zone, and touchdown, Georgia Southern.
Talked about the backs blocking downfield for each other. This is just a quarterback sweep, a designed carry by the quarterback the whole way. As he came out, he had a couple of backs in front of him, read those blocks well, got himself into the end zone.
And good football teams answer when they are scored on, and Georgia Southern just drove the length of the field. And with the extra point being good, we've got a tied football game here in Statesboro, Georgia. 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. We are 7 up. Western Kentucky and Georgia Southern Stadium in Statesboro, Georgia. We are all knotted up at 7 apiece here with just less than 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Scoring drive, 8 plays, 70 yards, 3 minutes and 2 seconds. And Williams, a 3-yard, all 8 plays on the ground.
Take a look here again. The man in motion, 22. Watch the block he throws on the free safety Veals. Gets into his legs. When you can get into a defensive back's legs, those guys, they don't like people messing around their legs. They're small, they're fragile. You get into their legs, get them off balance, clears the way for the touchdown.
And Williams carries it in from 6 yards out to tie it up. As you see, Scott Shelton, the senior out of nearby Savannah, Georgia, getting set to kick it off. And the man waiting deep, Antonio Veals, averaging 20.9 yards per return. Also, John Creighton, the tailback, is back there. It'll go to Veals, and he will take it 2 yards deep in the end zone and take a knee wisely. In 1954, Paul Bear Bryan took 115 football players into the drought-ridden desert of Junction, Texas. Only 35 would survive to play for him. ESPN's Original Entertainment presents the Junction Boys tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN, immediately following the Heisman Trophy presentation at 8 o'clock. Again, the Junction Boys coming your way at 9 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com. And And I cannot wait to see that. I've heard so many things about people who have seen previews that say it is absolutely outstanding. Inside handoff, big opening for John Frazier, the tailback, gain of 6.
One of the keys for Georgia Southern, they wanted to keep their eyes on the fullback, Jeremy Johnson. The fullback will usually take you to where the ball is in an I offense, and that's what Western Kentucky runs. Whether it's a play-action pass, whether it's a run, or whether the fullback's the receiver in the flat, more times than not, he's going to tell you where the ball is.
Did you say pass? I don't think they use the word pass in this conference, Bryan. I think this is a no-fly zone. These guys run the football.
The only thing flying here today are the birds.
90% of the time on the ground, and here we go again. The toss to the tailback. Great defensive effort over there as Michael Ward, the right linebacker, there to slow up Frazier.
Boy, you called it, Doc. Michael Ward, great speed, good anticipation, gets to the outside. He's been banged up a little bit. He's healthy now and back in there, and what a nice play to recognize that and to beat Frazier to the point of attack.
There's David Young, also the strong safety, who's the enforcer back there in the secondary. Third and a couple of yards. We'll see if the Eagle defense can bow their necks and possibly put a stop on Western Kentucky. Bill Poppers 2 of 3 on third down conversions. Inside handoff, nothing doing. Lots of blue jerseys there to stand up. The ball carrier may have lost a half a yard.
Well, one of the reasons he lost half a yard, Doc, was the fullback just doesn't clean out the hole. You can see right there, Butler holds his ground, takes on Jeremy Johnson, the blocker, one-on-one, holds his ground, frees up some room for Joe Scott, his fellow linebacker, to come in and make the hit.
And Claiborne will punt it. Low line drive into the wind kick. Anthony Williams will take it. He's already taken one back for a touchdown this year. He will be smothered at about the 38-yard line. 38-yard punt and a 5-yard return. Back with more from Statesboro, Georgia in just a moment. Beautiful country down here. Home of Georgia Southern, a 6-time 1AA national champion. As they will get their third possession of the first quarter and a pass. Folks in the stands are saying, what is that? That is a forward pass. Not very effectively, but it is a forward pass. We are at Allen E. Paulson Stadium in Statesboro, Georgia. Third-ranked Georgia Southern taking on 15th-ranked Western Kentucky. I'm Jerry Punch along with Randy Wright and Mike Gleason. Glad to have you with us for a 1AA semifinal game. The other semifinal, by the way, happening in Lake Charles, Louisiana. That is top-ranked McNeese State taking on Villanova. They're all tied up here as the clock ticking down in the first quarter. And Williams will dance upfield near the 45-yard line. Let's check in back in the studio with Reese Davis. Reese?
And Jerry, McNeese State might be top ranked, but Villanova getting on top first. Wildcats, after taking over on downs when McNeese State failed to convert a fourth down, Brett Gordon to Matt Sheila. Gordon playing with that broken thumb, throws a touchdown pass, Cats up by 7.
All right, thank you very much, Reese. So both visiting schools getting on the board first, or getting it going first. Western Kentucky scored first here against Georgia Southern, and Villanova getting it done down in Louisiana. Pitch back to the slot back, and that is C. Walden. As Antonio Fields will make the stop up near the first down marker, about a yard and a half shy, gain of 3.
What a nice job by Antonio Fields. One-on-one in the open field, brings down Walden. And Western Kentucky felt they'd have a little bit of an advantage defensing Georgia Southern because Western Kentucky has run the triple option. They ran that for the last several years. It was just this year that they changed and went to the I formation, the pro I. So they're familiar with the speed and the look of the triple option.
All right, Scott Shelton will punt it away. As Antonio Fields, the man who made the tackle, waiting back at his own 10-yard line. He'll let it hit at about the 5. It bounds out of bounds at the 2-yard line. Little backspin on that wedge shot by Scott Shelton. 51-yard punt, and they bury Western Kentucky deep inside their 5 for their next possession. Let's check in on the sidelines with Mike Gleason. Mike?
Well, Doc, you and Randy were talking about the slot backs for Georgia Southern at the last possession. You talk about Western Kentucky playing assignment-perfect football. Slot backs Mark Myers and Zizrim Walden. Over the last 9 games, they've each averaged more than 13 yards a carry. They used to battle in the 100-meter dash back in high school. Now they're roommates, and they're taking turns giving defensive coordinators some severe headaches, Doc.
And Mike, they've averaged almost 128 yards a game, and exactly as you say, over 13 yards a carry combined out of the slot back position. Inside handoff, the big Jeremy Johnson, the fullback.
Mike, that's a good point. You talk about the slot backs, because for Georgia Southern, their fullback, Jermaine Austin, he's a smaller, younger kid, and he got kind of banged up last week. You think they're going to go more to the slot backs, if not because of the open field, because they don't want to wear down their fullback.
Well, Mike Sewak said before the ball game, just minutes before the game, he said, watch the slot backs, because obviously you guys talk about Austin and Williams. For the slot back, they will break one sooner or later in this football game. We saw Myers break a long one already.
Kentucky on offense, 2 tight ends inside. Jeremy Johnson, as big as a tight end, or bigger than most tight ends, he gets the handoff. And Derek Butler there to make the stop.
Not just a threat in the running game, but Jeremy Johnson is the second leading receiver on this team with 19 catches coming out of the backfield. They'll try and put him into the flat, get him the ball in the pass game as well.
Well, that was the final play of the first quarter, and appropriately in a 1AA semifinal game, you got 2 pretty evenly matched teams. We are all knotted up at 7 apiece. Western Kentucky struck first after a turnover, and Georgia Southern retaliated with their full-length field drive to tie it up 7 apiece. The Eagles prepared to fly when we come back to Statesboro, Georgia in just a moment.
Statesboro, Georgia, it's Georgia Southern 7 and the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky 7. Moments ago, we saw the nice punt by Scott Shelton of Georgia Southern. You know, guys, it's a good thing he doubles as a place kicker. Back in '99, pressed into duty as a redshirt freshman, he averaged 43 yards a kick, which would have been second best in the conference, except he only had 16 punts. So playing like an explosive football team like this, guys, the young man never gets a chance to get on the field and punt the football. Let's go back upstairs.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. The long run there by Frazier. And exactly what we had talked about, Randy. 2 very evenly matched football teams in this 1AA semifinal game. The high-risk Georgia Southern offense turns it over early, giving Western Kentucky an easy touchdown.
Yeah, both defenses in unfamiliar territory, giving up a touchdown in the first quarter, but things have settled down and they're playing a little more relaxed, and we've seen the defenses trying to stingy up a little bit here.
135 rushing yards combined in the first quarter. And we mentioned both these teams run the football, so the clock runs very, very quickly. Second play of the second quarter. Back to pass. Has a receiver upfield, and a great catch by Casey Rooney, the former quarterback who was moved to wide receiver, the junior, out of Sioux City, Iowa.
Well, we don't see this often, but it's a nice ball thrown by Michael. Rooney has to adjust backwards, makes a beautiful one-handed catch. It was actually pretty good coverage. Ball was thrown a little bit behind, but look at the concentration, and what a great job of hand-eye coordination holding on to that ball.
Looking at Jack Harbaugh, 14 years the head coach at Western Kentucky. What a job he has done there with the Hilltoppers. 7 consecutive winning seasons. Trying to spin out of the grass is the running back, John Frazier, and David Young, the strong safety, up to wrap him up. Take a look at the first quarter stats. We mentioned the rushing yards. No surprise there, 133. 10 passing yards for the Hilltoppers, and the turnover, the big turnover, deep in their own territory on the 4-yard line for Georgia Southern in their very first possession.
And big for Western Kentucky, Doc. When you get a turnover like that, that kind of golden opportunity, they capitalized on it. They didn't flounder it. They got the ball into the end zone.
Western Kentucky has about a 60-pound advantage in their offensive line over the smaller and maybe quicker defensive front for Georgia Southern. Trying to take advantage of that offensive advantage, and now back to throw again. Receiver upfield, and another great catch by Casey Rooney, as now the flags will fly as Rooney makes the catch.
Well, Doc, I think this may be for taunting or unsportsmanlike after the catch.
Might have been on Rooney, who got up after making a pretty circus catch, and Jack Harbaugh grabs Rooney as he comes off the field and starts talking to the young man.
Well, after some of the incidents that happened last week, he's not going to put up with any of that.
after the play, unsportsmanlike on the offense. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run, first down.
And Ross Smith, our referee out of the Southland Conference, exactly as you said, Randy, that cost them some yardage, very costly.
Well, you take a look, it's a great throw here by Jason Michael, taking advantage with the change in the quarter. They now have the wind at their back. Another beautiful catch by Rooney, but boy, totally unnecessary with the taunting afterwards. As you take a look, happy to make the play. Referee thought that was a little bit uncalled for and tags him for 15, and boy, that's a huge 15-yard penalty when your team gets a couple of big plays and gets some momentum now.
And they say anything you do to draw attention to yourself, aside from a minimal celebration. So they are 3 for 3 throwing the football for almost 70 yards. Inside handoff. Again, Frazier behind that big offensive line, rumbling down near the 20-yard line.
Take a look here as Rooney, right after that last play, over on the sideline, and boy, he's pushing his coach away. I don't think Jack Harbaugh is going to put up with that very much. He may spend a lot of time over on the bench.
Yeah, he may get a chance to go get on the bus. And we will, Jack Harbaugh, a no-nonsense coach, 19 years as a head coach, the last 14 at the helm here at Western Kentucky. Big fullback Johnson inside. And gets a couple down near the first down marker. Gain of 4.
You can see this offensive line starting to get into a rhythm here. They're much bigger. They're All-American Chris Price, their left guard. That's where they're running behind most of this drive. And this is a slow process for Western Kentucky. They didn't think they'd have great success early. Let's have patience. Let's wear them down.
And a big... Back at Allen E. Paulson Stadium in Statesboro, Georgia. Early second quarter. We are all knotted up here, 7 apiece. Georgia Southern and Western Kentucky in this 1AA semifinal game. Turnover early on in the opening possession by Georgia Southern gave Western Kentucky an easy touchdown from 4 yards away. And the Eagles retaliated with a 70-yard drive over 8 plays to knot it up at 7 apiece here early in the second quarter.
Doc, one of the things Western Kentucky wanted to make sure they did is withstand the early emotional high that Georgia Southern was going to be on. If they did that, they felt they could keep it close till the third, fourth quarter.
Inside handoff. Johnson will not get anywhere. And the reason that Western Kentucky is able to threaten now is because of a long completion a moment ago. Jason Michael to Casey Rooney. Rooney had gotten behind the defender. A 59-yard completion. Watch Rooney make the catch, but then he makes a very tough mistake. Watch this. The showboating and taunting cost him some yardage. Comes to the sidelines and then shoves the coach. And that may cost him a chance to play here much of the rest of the day.
Well, I'm sure Jack Harbaugh is so aware with what happened last week and the suspensions and the altercations after the game. He's not going to put up with any of that this week.
2nd and 9 for the Hilltoppers. Inside handoff, tailback, big hole inside the 10-yard line. Goes John Frazier, the senior out of Central City, Kentucky.
Huge hole for Frazier to run through right behind his big fullback, number 1, Jeremy Johnson. Watch the block. Takes on Joe Scott. Just knocks his head backwards. You got a big body running in front of you. When you open up a hole like that, it makes it easy to run for John Frazier.
Randy, we might mention that Western Kentucky has banged up. They lost 2 offensive linemen in the fourth quarter last week in the quarterfinal game at Western Illinois. Big Buster Ashley, the first-team all-conference tackle, not playing today. And Derek Forster, the 4-year starter at right guard, not playing. They've moved the center, Daniel Withrow, to tackle. Ravelette goes to center. And Richard Gervais, one of the backup guards, moves to right guard. So they have a rebuilt right side of their offensive line, but moving the ball very effectively.
And even with that rebuilt offensive line, Jack Harbaugh told us that's still the strength of our team. These guys are still where we feel we have the best chance to succeed.
11th play of the drive. There's a look at Casey Rooney. We'd had some rumblings that he may have been ousted from the game. That is not the case. He will be back in the football game after he calms down a little bit. Mike Gleason reporting from the sidelines. Checking on that. Thank you, Michael. Total yards, 173. Carry the 1, add the 2. That's 173. 3rd and a couple of inches as Western Kentucky threatening here on the home field of the 6-time national champion. That should be enough for the first down. Jason Michael on the quarterback sneak.
Michael is a good runner, but he's not an option kind of quarterback, and that was one of the things that caused Western Kentucky to go away from the triple option more to the pro I set. He runs the ball well, he's carried it 142 times. Not super quick, though. A good decision maker, not super quick with his feet. So when they do run it, they tend to give it more to the backs. He picks up his carries and yards with outside running plays, sweeps, things like that.
Michael transferred from Army, redshirted Army in 1998. Came to actually start 7 games by virtue of an injury to the starting quarterback at Western Kentucky. Won 6 of those 7. And then because he was not an option quarterback, they brought in some junior college quarterbacks for a couple of years. And Jason Michael sat and waited his turn. He basically played on special teams, was a personal protector. And then this past spring, Jack Harbaugh and company said, you know what, Jason, you've been patient, you've persevered. It's your turn to run the offense if you hang on to the job. And indeed he did. And what a leader he has been as a 5th-year senior. Jason Michael now trying to put the Hilltoppers on the board here in the 2nd quarter. Handoff and great stop of John Frazier by Deshaun Jude, the right end.
Well, there were a couple of blue jerseys around there. Joe Scott was in from his linebacker position, and not much room there for Frazier to run through. This is where this defensive front has really been strong, is when you get down here by the goal line, they're so quick and things tighten up. The offensive line shortens down their split. Everything gets a little tighter, a little harder to get to.
This defense of Georgia Southern has allowed only 1 rushing touchdown since October 26th, and that came in the 1st quarter. Western Kentucky, if they can keep them from getting 2. 3rd and goal, the pitch, the tailback, and he will dive into the end zone. That is John Frazier as the Hilltoppers score again.
Another great block by Jeremy Johnson. He gets out in front of Frazier, blocks one man. The next man for Georgia Southern over pursues. Watch Johnson there, takes the one man. The other guy, Stokes, the cornerback, he over pursues, and by over pursuing takes himself out of the play. Frazier, excellent vision, sees that, cuts it up inside.
Peter Martinez out of Nashville, Tennessee, on for the extra point. As the kick is up and good. And Western Kentucky with a pretty impressive drive. Doing it through the air mostly with a long pass as the Hilltoppers go up 14-7 here in the 2nd quarter. Stadium in Statesboro, Georgia. I'm Jerry Punch along with Randy Wright, Mike Gleason here. 1AA semifinal game. A 14-play, 98-yard drive. Taking up 7 minutes and 11 seconds has put Western Kentucky back on top here, 14-7. As Peter Martinez, a senior out of Nashville, Tennessee, will tee it up.
Doc, you go back and look at that drive. Western Kentucky's success, so the touchdown came on the ground. 2 big pass plays. When one team can do both, run and throw, you open up so many things. If one of these teams has the ability to go multi-dimensional, pass and run, it's Western Kentucky.
And the key to 59-yard completion to Rooney.
And they overcame that personal, the unsportsmanlike after that, marked it back 15 yards. They overcame that, still got the ball in the end zone.
Martinez kicking with the wind, and the wind's, we'll ask Mike Gleason in a moment, the wind really gusting down there. Basically, it's at the Western Kentucky back. Left to right as you're watching at home. This one will also go in the end zone, and Georgia Southern will not. Yeah, he will bring it out. That is Anthony Williams. He gets out to the 10, 15, and shoved out of bounds just over the 15-yard line. Take a look at our exclusive ESPN game tracker. Highlights thus far. Opening possession for Georgia Southern. They fumble the football, giving it to Western Kentucky on the 4-yard line. They would score. And then the Eagles roar back with a great run by Jermaine Austin to put them in position to score. This 59-yard completion to Casey Rooney helped Western Kentucky get back in scoring position and go up 14-7. And option, nowhere to go whatsoever for Chaz Williams. Charles Thompson, the leading tackler there to make the stop of the game, maybe a half a yard.
Boy, Doc, there wasn't any room for anybody in a blue jersey to go. We talked about assignment football earlier. Great job of assignment football execution that time by Western Kentucky. Somebody had the fullback, somebody had the pitchback, a couple of guys had the quarterback. Nowhere for Chaz Williams to pitch that ball to.
Got to give a call to David Elson, the defensive coordinator for Western Kentucky, and Jack Harbaugh staff. What a job they are doing on this very effective triple option offense thus far here in the first half. Williams will pitch it now. The pursuit from the outside. Big opening inside. That is Mark Myers. He is the fastest player on the Georgia Southern football team at 4.3, 3.40. He comes within about a yard of breaking that, a gain of 22.
Well, when they take away the inside, Williams runs this so well, gets the ball out to Myers quickly, and that speed you talked about, 4.33 in the 40. That's a big reason why these slotbacks average so many yards per carry, over 11 yards per carry, each of them for the entire season.
Inside handout, inside again, maybe a yard, gain of a couple. Talking about some outstanding players. Tonight, ESPN has the Heisman Trophy presentation presented by Wendy's. Probably the most wide-open race in Heisman history. Ken Dorsey and Willis McGahee of Miami. Carson Palmer of USC. Take a look at some of the stats. Palmer, 3,639 yards. Brad Banks out of Iowa. Willis McGahee. Larry Johnson, only the 9th rusher in major college football to go over 2,000 yards in a season. Who will win the Heisman? Coming up at 8 o'clock tonight.
Well, sometimes that Heisman race is wide open because maybe in years past nobody's deserved it. Here, I think you've got all qualified recipients of that. You could give it to any one of the 5 and be satisfied and happy with who would win it.
Mike Seawalk making some adjustments, able to run the ball in the perimeter some. Georgia Southern known for getting yardage in large chunks, and this time they only get about a yard. As Chaz Williams is stopped. Mike Leeson, what about this big play offense?
Well, Doc, Georgia Southern says what constitutes a big play offense is anything 20 yards or more. They've had 74 of those plays this year, 23 resulting in touchdowns. That comes out to about 5.7 big plays per game. Western Kentucky said before the ball game they were hoping to keep that to 3, possibly 4, and they should be okay.
Thank you, Mike. And Chaz Williams leads all of the Eagle players with 12 big plays himself. Rushing plays on the year. And almost a big one there for Jermaine Austin. He gained 6. Gerard Coates there to make the stop. First team all Gateway Conference outside linebacker.
Well, Gerard Coates, as you said, just an outstanding leader for this team. He's playing great in this his senior season. He's been a leader. He's very active, a vocal leader as well as physical, and his coaches have said there have been times where he's really picked this defense up and carried them on his shoulders, and that's a big reason why they've had the success they've had.
1 of 2 in third down conversions, and it was third and a couple. It'll be very, very close. Jermaine Austin on the carry, Kincaid on the stop. As our Southland Conference referee, Ross Smith, will call for a timeout and a measurement.
Boy, this is going to be very close. If it's short, it's not going to be short by much.
And it is indeed a first down. Coming up at halftime, we'll go back to our studio. Reese Davis, Mark May, and Trev Alberts will having our halftime report. Remember, this is only one of 2 semifinal games going on right now. The other one in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Top-ranked McNeese State taking on Villanova. Mark Malone and Rod Gilmore down there. Reese, Mark, and Travel on all the updates on what's happening there, what's going on in college football. As we get ready for an exciting bowl season here on ESPN and ESPN2. Williams will take it himself and get maybe half a yard.
Boy, one of the reasons that Georgia Southern is having so much trouble running the ball inside is that's where Western Kentucky is really stacking things up, and that's where they have the size advantage. There you see Arthur Wilson, 6 foot, 295-pound nose tackle going against Charles Clark. Now, Charles Clark at center is 280 pounds, but Arthur Wilson is so much quicker, so much bigger. He's really doing a nice job of filling that hole.
9th play of the drive, the pitch at the last minute for the The slot back, Z. Walden. And he will gain 7. Great timing by Chaz Williams. You talked about the timing of the option. Williams runs this to the perfection.
Williams does a nice job, as you said, holding on to that ball right to the end. But watch this hit he takes after he delivers that ball. Perfect pitch, but he takes a heck of a hit. Western Kentucky's hoping if they hit him after every pitch he makes, he's going to wear down.
Now, Randy is a former quarterback at Wisconsin and at Green Bay. Those hits do take their toll eventually as the game progresses.
No question they take your toll as much mentally with your concentration as physically.
And you said concentration. He couldn't hold on. It scraped away, and Western Kentucky will take over. Second turnover of the first half for Georgia Southern.
Some of the keys that Georgia Southern had to do, they had to win that nose guard battle we talked about. They had to get the guards up on the linebackers, and they couldn't turn the ball over. This is the second one, as you said, Doc. This one forced by Coates coming in, knocking that ball out. Big play. Here you see it again. Defender just gets in there. Excuse me, it was Maslowski, 48, that forced that ball out, coming in from his middle linebacker position. Georgia Southern moving the ball. Another key turnover.
And Chris Mao out of American Samoa, the left end, recovering the fumble for the Hilltop. Georgia Southern only had 4 turnovers in the postseason. They've already had 2 in the first half. Inside handoff to the big fullback. Jeremy Johnson, 275-pounder, will get up over the 40-yard line.
You know, we talked a lot about Jeremy Johnson. He didn't decide to transfer from Indiana to Western Kentucky until August. He missed the first 2 days of camp because of that. He was out of shape. It's taken him a while to play into that playing shape. He can handle the 275 pounds he is now, but he hasn't gotten used to the hits. It's just the last couple of weeks that his staff feels he's in real playing condition.
Jack Harbaugh and Willie Taggart, as the flags fly, said that Jeremy Johnson has the best hands of anyone they've ever seen. They said ever seen coming out of the backfield. That says a lot because Jack Harbaugh has been around some pretty good football players.
Well, and he has. He's seen a lot. Obviously, his son, Jim Harbaugh, quarterback Michigan and the Chicago Bears and Indianapolis Colts for many years, and he's been around a lot. And I broadcast throughout, as we all do, and have watched Jeremy Johnson at Indiana in that Cam Cameron pass hoppy offense, playing with Antoine Randall in the option offense, and I agree, Jeremy Johnson has got excellent hands.
Looking at Jack Harbaugh, his son John, the special teams coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. His daughter Joni married to head basketball coach Tom Crean up at Marquette, so got a pretty sports-oriented family. And they hand it off to the tailback again, Frazier, and he keeps battling on his feet, pushing people out of the way. Great effort run. Finally, Deion Stokes able to bring him down.
John Frazier, small, only 5'9", not a dancer. He gets through those holes, and they tell you he can deliver a hit as well as anybody. Watch him follow his fullback. Nice block by Johnson. Then watch Frazier lower that shoulder and deliver some hits there. Keeps those legs moving, and well, he's pretty powerful for a guy 5'9", 180 pounds. He can move the pile. 4th
missed tackle of the first half by Georgia Southern. I got to believe that at halftime, Rusty Russell, who's a defensive coordinator for Georgia Southern, going to be talking to his defense about wrapping up on tackling, because if you can't arm tackle these guys like Frazier and Jeremy Johnson.
Doc, when you get to this level, the national semifinals, the playoffs, you face too many good backs to miss tackles. The missed tackles at this level cost you first downs and touchdowns.
That brings up a 3rd and less than a yard for that man's team right there, Jack Harbaugh. They are 5 of 7 today on 3rd down conversions. 53% in the postseason is Western Kentucky on 3rd downs. High formation, the quarterback will just follow that big center, Erick Russell, and have the first down. Lee Corso would love that play. Anytime you're less than a yard, Lee is screaming quarterback sneak, you know, and obviously for many years that is the play of choice.
Well, it certainly is the safe play, and when you've got a center like Erick Russell at 310 pounds going against a defensive line that's averaging 250 pounds, 4 times a night, you're going to win. Erick Russell making his start here as a 5th-year senior, never started before but has played a lot. His coaches had a lot of confidence he could step up today and handle the call to duty, and he's played a good first half.
Very quick first half, a lot of rushing, a lot of running on the football here, and thus the clock is running very quickly here. 14-7, Western Kentucky up, and again they will hand it off to the tailback, and as quick as Georgia Southern is defensively, you're not going to get much when you try to dance to the outside. David Young making his 5th tackle here in the first half.
Now, that's a good point. You're not going to get a lot. If you don't hit the point of attack full speed, that's when the hole is going to be open. And this Georgia Southern defense, good feet, good quickness, they're going to close that hole pretty quickly if you're not running full speed.
You know, coaches talked about John Frazier, number 21 there. He was a running back in 1999 when he came in, played 9 games, was moved to wing back and wide receiver for the 2000 and 2001 season. Back to tailback this year, and in game 4, he really stepped up against Youngstown State, had 112 yards. They knew he had found a home back in the backfield. Pass complete outside to Shannon Hayes, and he will dance up down near the 40-yard line. Let's check in back in the studio with Reese Davis. Reese?
All right, Doc, Brett Gordon from Villanova, courageous playing with that broken thumb, but he dropped a ball earlier that resulted in a turnover for Villanova, and then you wonder about that one too. Picked off by a Shield Fairchild, and the junior from St. Gabriel is going to take it to the house for the Cowboys, and McNeese State is tied up Villanova at 7.
And so thank you, Reese. They got a great one going on down in Lake Charles, Louisiana. We've got a good one here at Paulson Stadium in Statesboro, Georgia. 14-7, Western Kentucky, the underdog, the Cinderella team, if you will, trying to add points here before halftime. And that pass low and bounces up toward the intended receiver, Shannon Hayes.
Jason Michael trying to throw the ball downfield to Jerome Reeves. Georgia Southern not fooled by it. Michael had to come off and threw a poor pass to his backup, his secondary receiver. But we've seen here in this first half, when Western Kentucky has the wind at their back, they'll throw the ball more. Georgia Southern, it doesn't matter. They're just going to run the option.
There have been only 6 passes thrown the entire first half. These teams have combined for 48 running plays. 2nd and 10 for the Hilltoppers. Michael will take it, fake the pitch, and be chased out of bounds up near or down near about the 32-yard line.
Georgia Southern doesn't feel that Michael can beat them if he has to run. When Western Kentucky runs the option, they're going to make him keep the ball, make him take the hits. So far, he's done a pretty nice job, though.
Jason Michael said it's a dream come true, being able to play, possibly play for a national championship. They have never been this far. We're talking about Western Kentucky. The 6th time they've ever been in the Division I AA playoffs, they have never gotten the semifinal game. And they play on the home turf here in Statesboro of the 6-time national champion Georgia Southern Eagles, and getting it done here in the first half.
They don't look intimidated at all.
3rd and a yard, and stood up behind the line of scrimmage. That is Deshaun Jude, who is a backup right in. He may not be a backup long with plays like that. His 5th tackle here in the first half.
Boy, watch this surge the defensive line gets. Stands up those white jerseys, pushes them backwards, and as you said, Deshaun Jude does a nice job of bringing back the back. Gets penetration across the line of scrimmage. It's going to be a decision now on 4th down from the 32-yard line. Too far for the field goal. It's only about 1.5 yards. I think they'll go for it.
Well, Jack Harbaugh knows that you don't leave much on the bus when you play in these playoff games. Single elimination. The winner of this game will head to Chattanooga, Tennessee next Friday for the 1AA title game. And Harbaugh will take a break and think it over, as we will as well. Back to the floor from Statesboro in just a moment. 44 yards coming against Murray State in the opening round of the playoffs. The kick is up, and it's long enough, and it is good. With the win, a new career long for Peter Martinez. 49 yards away, and now Western Kentucky up by 10 over Georgia Southern here as the first half is just 29 seconds away. Stadium in Statesboro, Georgia. A 49-yard field goal kick by Peter Martinez. A career long puts the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky up by 10. They are dancing over on the Western Kentucky sidelines as they are enjoying their first ever trip to the semifinals here in NCAA Division I AA competition.
You take a look, 10 points off of the turnovers, the 2 fumbles that they've recovered, although one of those drives was just 4 yards off of that one. That one was a much longer drive. That kick, 44, had been his long. 49, it would have been good for another 5 or 10 yards.
And he will kick it deep to Anthony Williams, who has already returned 1 for a touchdown this year. And he will take a knee in the end zone. And the final 27 seconds of the first half coming up here for Georgia Southern's final first half possession. While Western Kentucky is 9-0 this year when they lead at halftime, they are up by 10 right now. 9 seconds away from halftime here at Statesboro, Georgia. There are the 6 national championship banners flying for Georgia Southern. This man has never made it to the national title game, and with the effort they have in the first half, they certainly have a great shot today. Up by 10, Jack Harbaugh's club, 17-7. And the final seconds will click away as they hand it off inside to Jermaine Austin. In 1954, Paul Bear Bryan took 115 football players into the drought-ridden desert of Junction, Texas. Only 35 would survive to play for him. ESPN's original entertainment presents the Junction Boys coming up tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. That should be a great show. Can't wait to see that one. That should be outstanding. And that'll do it in the first half as Western Kentucky is 9-0 when leading at halftime. And the Hilltoppers getting it done here in the first half at Statesboro, Georgia. Now let's go back to the studio where Reese Davis is standing by with Mark and Trent.
Top of Georgia Southern by 10. You know, the story goes that years ago when Erick Russell was the coach at Georgia Southern, that the Hilltoppers came to town. They defiled Eagle Creek to sacred waters. Georgia Southern and Western Kentucky. Let's get you down to Statesboro and the football doctor, Jerry Punch.
Thanks, Reese and guys. We are set back in Statesboro, Georgia. Big surprise here. 15th ranked Hilltoppers up by 10 over the 3rd-ranked Eagles of Georgia Southern. Peter Martinez out of Nashville will kick it off. The very dangerous Anthony Williams, who has already taken one back this year, 93 yards against Appalachian State. Williams in his own end zone. And he is nailed at about the 12-yard line. And Randy, got to be a big surprise in the first half. Not only the fact that Western Kentucky is up by 10, but the fact that they've moved the ball easily, got over 200 yards of total offense against a very good defense for Georgia Southern.
Well, surprised, yes, but when you have 2 teams that run as well as these two, the one that controls the line of scrimmage is going to win the game, and Western Kentucky's dominated the line.
And Western Kentucky also throwing the ball effectively. I'd like to have been a fly on that man's locker room wall, Mike Seawalk, a moment ago. Jack Harbaugh doing a great job. Great job in the first half for the Hilltoppers as they will try. Whoa! They dropped the football. Almost the 3rd turnover of the game. And that's sort of been the story of what's happened here in the first half. As we show you what happened to Chaz Williams here a moment ago.
Well, just loses control of that ball as that jersey, the guy in the white jersey, their defensive line just comes over and knocks it off. You take a look in the first half, it was turnovers. This, the second of the 2 turnovers, gives Western Kentucky excellent field position, and they've shut down Chaz Williams all day, controlled him, and when Western Kentucky has thrown the ball, they've thrown it with a lot of success, and that's been the difference. 4 completions for 78 yards.
It's the Walden to see outside the slot back up near the 20-yard line. And now it'll be shy of the first down. As we check in and find out exactly what Mike Seawalk had to say at halftime. Mike Gleason?
Well, Doc, Mike Seawalk said their trademark is speed and execution. He said defensively they got to get to the football quicker and get more blue jerseys around the ball. Even offensively, they got to get to the corner and hit their seams quicker. But most importantly, stop putting the football on the ground, Doc.
And that has hurt him. It's a high-risk offense. 40 times they fumbled the ball this year. 14 they've lost. Got to hold on to the football. This time to pitch to Kevin Davis, the backup slot back, and he will still be shy the first. Take a look at our first half stats. We told you Western Kentucky 204 yards total offense, 78 passing yards, 4 of 5 for Jason Michael. The big 38-yard one completion is the one that set him up for that go-ahead touchdown. Only 128 total yards for the high-powered triple option attack for Georgia Southern. Low, wobbly kick into the wind, hits it about the 49, will bound just beyond midfield. And Western Kentucky will have great field position for their first possession of the second half.
Doc, you know how much Georgia Southern runs the ball with their triple option and keeping the ball on the ground and inside and outside. With Western Kentucky having the success that they've had on the ground, it speeds the game up. Georgia Southern's not going to get the normal 12, 14 possessions in a game. That breaks down 6 or 7 in a half. They may only get 4 or 5 possessions in the half, so it's so important that they do something when they have that opportunity and shut Western Kentucky down to get that ball back quicker.
Very important that the Eagle defense stop the Hilltoppers here in the opening possession. They give this time to Shannon Hayes, the wide receiver, and he will be upfield down inside the 40-yard line of Georgia Southern. Gain of 18. Now, what did Jack Harbaugh have to say at halftime? Mike Gleason?
Well, Doc, Jack said he reminded his team that last year they were in the same situation and they lost the lead to Furman. He said, so hold on. And keep in mind, last week against Western Illinois, they scored 14 or 17 points in the fourth quarter. 14 in the fourth quarter of the last 3 games. And one other note, we will see Rooney back in the ballgame. As a matter of fact, he's in there right now.
Thank you, Mike. Casey Rooney had to come out after a taunting penalty after a long completion, and now back in the football game. He is in motion, as a matter of fact, as Michael will take it on the option and shuffle down near the 30-yard line. Gains 7 yards on the first down play.
Like, I want to go back to the play before this one, the reverse. What a great call to open the second half with the reverse. This is the last one right here. You see Michael on the option, comes out with his blocker in front of him. Very effective. Not a real quick runner, Jason Michael, but very effective picking up positive yardage. You saw on the previous play before that, the reverse. Jack Harbaugh pulling out everything, trying to use Georgia Southern's speed against them.
Willie Taggart, the offensive coordinator, one of the all-time great rushing quarterbacks in Division I AA history. He's calling the plays from up top as they hand it off inside to John Frazier. One of the big concerns this week, Randy, among the Georgia Southern coaching staff, was the size of this offensive line of Western Kentucky. They were able to hold up last week against Maine, but Mike Seawalk, who was an offensive lineman in college at Virginia, says, you know what, we're giving up 60 pounds a man. If they try to come out and match us, we're going to have to be very, very active up front.
Well, one of the problems is they did hold up against Maine last week, but when you play big physical teams back-to-back, it really shows in that second game.
Speaking of big and physical, how about Jeremy Johnson for a couple of yards?
This is also where you're starting to see the fruits that were laid in the first half, the running the ball. When you didn't have early success, you have to have some patience. Willie Taggart, the offensive coordinator for Western Kentucky, wanted to stick with that run, use that 60-pound advantage that we were just talking about, wear down that Georgia Southern defense. Those will start to show its effects as you get deep into this third quarter and into the fourth quarter.
Taggart, a former quarterback at Western Kentucky, led 2 of the most prolific rushing offenses back in 1997 and 98. Was a part of the coaching staff there. Led the Ohio Valley in rushing in those years. Again, he'll pitch it back. He cuts it back. That is Frazier, and he is down to the 15-yard line. Well, tonight ESPN has the Heisman Trophy presentation presented by Wendy's. The most wide-open race in Heisman history as Ken Dorsey and Willis McGahee of Miami, Carson Palmer of Southern Cal, Larry Johnson of Penn State, and Brad Banks of Iowa have a shot at the most prestigious award in college football. There are the 5 candidates. Heisman Trophy show coming your way tonight on ESPN. For more information, log on to ESPN.com.
All right, tell me, Doc, who's going to win it?
Well, I tell you, that's, I think the vote's close. I think that Carson Palmer had a great end of the year. People held on to their votes, and they saw Willis McGahee's effort against Virginia Tech last Saturday. I mean, that was remarkable what McGahee did. 205 yards, 6 touchdowns in the win over Virginia Tech. Palmer's efforts against Notre Dame. Speaking of Trojans, this guy's obviously he voted for Palmer. He's got the Southern Cal Trojan gear on. Two tight ends in, Rufus Sanders and Matt Rogers. And off, he sidesteps one tackler is John Frazier.
Nice job by Derek Butler, the weak side linebacker for Georgia Southern. He didn't get credit for the tackle, but as you said, sidestepped the one tackle. That was Derek Butler that was in there, caused Frazier to have to change his course that he wanted to run on. Also allowed some of his fellow teammates to come over and make the tackle. Good penetration by Butler.
We just joined our coverage opening possession of the second half for the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. They've been the Cinderella story here. They have never made it to the semifinal game in 1AA playoffs. First time they have made it, and they're here on the home field of a six-time national champion and controlling the football game here thus far. The pass complete to the running back again. That's Frazier, and he is inside the 5-yard line. Another great call by offensive coordinators Willie Taggart and Kevin Leitner here in the Hilltopper offense.
Freddie Pescata, number 44, doesn't get through there in terms of a pass rush to come through. He's the big guy that's really been neutralized all day. Western Kentucky hadn't taken advantage of the passing game very often, but when they have, boy, it has really been effective. And look at that time of possession. Not only have they controlled the ball for 25 minutes, but they finished those drives with points on the board.
Okay, you went to Wisconsin and stuff. Is that double the time of possession?
I was just looking at the 25. My quick answer is yes.
They want to give you the tough math question. Just pick it. All right, here we go. Trending again on the first possession here of the second half, John Frazier. And Western Kentucky trying to punch it in and add some points. And this crowd here has got to be quiet. And they got to be a little bit shocked at what they're seeing here.
Well, it's very unfamiliar. There's Freddie Pescata. We talked about him. He's the All-American, the go-to guy in this defensive front. Leads this team in tackles for losses. In fact, 17 tackles for losses. He hadn't been playing this game in the offensive backfield. He's been playing this entire game on his own side.
And we welcome those of you who have been watching the game in Lake Charles with McNeese State and Villanova. We are here in Statesboro, Georgia, where Western Kentucky is threatening in their opening possession here of the second half. They led by 10 at halftime, 17-7. 1AA semifinal game, 15th ranked Western Kentucky, sort of the Cinderella story here in the 1AA playoffs. They have never made it to the semifinals. Jack Harbaugh, their 14-year head coach, getting in this far. I'm Jerry Punch along with Randy Wright and Mike Gleason. Glad to have you join us here in Statesboro, Georgia at Alan E. Paulson Stadium.
This is where that big fullback like Jeremy Johnson, 280 pounds, really helps you out.
Tight ends, 11th play of this opening drive of the second half, and shoving his way in, Jason Michael. Still no signal, yes, touchdown for Western Kentucky.
What a drive by Western Kentucky to start this second half. They start the half on defense, hold Georgia Southern to a 3-and-out, get good field position, start with a reverse, picks up big yards, and then just grinds the ball down the field against the Georgia Southern offense or defense that hasn't had that happen often this year. Good line surge there, and as it has all day, open up some holes for those backs to go through. Now, they only needed half a yard there, and it didn't take much for Jason Michael to sneak over.
Well, the kick by Martinez is good, and Mike Seawalk for Georgia Southern has to go back to the drawing board, trying to rally his troops as they are down 24-7 here in the third quarter. Day here in Statesboro, Georgia. Temperatures in the mid-40s, dropping down to the high 30s here in the afternoon. And getting chillier here for the homestanding Eagles as Western Kentucky punches it in 11 plays, 53 yards, 5:58. A 1-yard touchdown run to go up by 17 here early in the third quarter. So a tough one here for the homestanding Eagles. They've got to get something untracked offensively.
Doc, we're getting to the point, if you're Georgia Southern, where you have to start thinking about putting the ball in the air a little bit more often. They haven't been able to run the full effect of the triple option because Western Kentucky's taken away the inside game. They need to pitch the ball to the outside, make their big plays that way, or start throwing the ball through the air. And
again, the kick with the wind will bound out of the end zone. And Georgia Southern will have it on their own 20-yard line, down by 17 points. They have only trailed at halftime 3 times this year. Twice they lost. They were behind by halftime. They lost at Delaware and up to Wofford here at home. They came back and beat the Citadel. Back with more in just a moment. It's due west of Savannah, home of Division I AA six-time national champion Georgia Southern, as they are trying to get some offense. And the ball comes out, and looks like Western Kentucky. The official said it was on the ground and he was down. So the Southland Conference referee Ross Smith will say the running back Jermaine Austin was on the ground, and Georgia Southern will retain possession.
Boy, take a look here at how Western Kentucky goes and tries to strip this ball out. Maslewski there gets his arm in there, strips it out. Now it looked like Austin was down, but see if he's laying on top of the player, or if, well, we don't see from that angle, but I'm not sure if that knee actually got down. He was lying on top of the Western Kentucky player.
Well, Georgia Southern got a break. They got a break there, reaching in another possible fumble. This is the pitch to Z Walden, the slot back, and he is chased out up near the 23, gain of a yard. Randy, you mentioned that Georgia Southern needs to maybe consider throwing the football. Chaz Williams had been plagued with a little bit of a shoulder problem after the Wofford game when they lost to Wofford early in the year here, and was able to throw the ball the last couple of weeks, but still only 36 completions all year long for the sophomore quarterback.
Yeah, if you're Mike Seawalk, you have to decide, what is my best opportunity to make the big play? Either throwing it or getting the ball to one of the backs on the outside.
Well, he makes that completion. Perfect pass and a rifle shot upfield of Carl Kearney, a junior out of Griffin, Georgia.
Well, when you look at Georgia Southern, Kearney is their second leading receiver with 8. Their top receiver, Derek Owens, is banged up and not in the game. So you have to go to your second leading receiver, who's only caught 8 balls. Now, with that kind of an offense that runs the ball so much, you look to get man-to-man coverage, so your matchups should be favorable.
And 5:30 left here in the third quarter. 17-point differential between Western Kentucky, the underdog, a huge underdog coming in, the Cinderella story, a 15th ranked Hilltoppers make it to the semifinal for the first time ever. First time the school has played 14 games in a year in school history. Trying to hold on, and Williams will throw it back to the Z-back. Or check that. That is Carl Kearney, again the wide receiver, who will go up and be out of bounds just about a yard shy of the first.
Take a look at the throwback screen as Williams sets his feet, throws back. But then you see Jeremy Chandler, number 20. What a nice job he does coming up and tackling one-on-one. What Western Kentucky doesn't want to do is give up the quick score. If they're going to give up the yards, that's okay. Don't give up the big play. Make them score and take time off the clock.
Take a look. They have not thrown the ball very much in the postseason, only 4 times. But they're having to get it done now through the air. 3rd and a yard. After less than a yard, they will fake the handout, give it inside. They started to fake it to the fullback. Great read by Chaz Williams, and Jermaine Austin will have the first down.
This is really where Western Kentucky needs to stay disciplined. They've been disciplined this entire game. Don't get away from that. Don't try and make a play. Don't try and think Georgia Southern is going to throw the ball or do something different. Stay with your focus. Stay with your assignments, and don't give up the huge play.
Best drive of the second half thus far for the Eagles. That pass completed to Meyer, still on his feet inside the 35. Will be shoved out of bounds. And Georgia Southern starting to get untracked a little bit offensively through the air.
Well, they're mixing things up, and this is a pass, but really it's just another way to get the ball to one of your backs on the outside. You see Walden there doing a nice job of blocking, and one thing you saw on this play you haven't seen a lot today is a missed tackle by a Western Kentucky defender.
1st and 10. There's a look at Myers out of Powder Springs, Georgia. Best game of the year for Myers, 141 yards rushing against Jacksonville State in the final regular season game of the year. Williams back to throw again, getting some pressure, has a receiver and can't get enough time to get it away. Well, Georgia Southern needs some luck, and they maybe have something that'll give them a little bit of luck. Right, Mike Gleason?
That's right, Doc. This might look like a little creek or a drainage ditch to you, but it's known as the beautiful Eagle Creek. You see, Erick Russell, the pioneer of this program, the first coach, he wanted to make the best out of everything you have. He was trying to convey that thought to his players. So he went down, he scooped up some water. As you can see, some of the fans still do it. He brought the water to northern Iowa in 1985, sprinkled it on the field. They won the game 40-33, and a tradition was born here. And, Doc, I'm told that some of the players actually jump in that creek and roll around for good luck.
Mike, the water looks yummy. I thought you were going to jump in, Mike, and show us maybe how it works. We're waiting.
No, they say there's some water moccasins in that little creek.
Great report, Mike, on the luck of Eagle Creek as the luck starting to turn. So is momentum turning in favor now of Georgia Southern.
Well, Georgia Southern is starting to have some success the way Western Kentucky did in the first half, and that is mixing the pass in with the run. Take a look at this quick pitch. Nice job by Williams getting that ball out there, then takes the hit after he throws the ball, but enough separation there for Davis. Good room. Nice job seeing where the hole is and picking up those positive yards. It's the mixture of both the run and the pass that has enabled both offenses to move the ball.
10th play of this offensive drive began on their own 20-yard line. Again, the pitch. This one to Austin. Has some running room. Cuts it outside 15, 10, 5, 3, 2, and he's down at the 2-yard line. Great effort by the redshirt freshman player of the year in the Southern Conference, Jermaine Austin.
Well, we talk about how hard a runner Austin is, only 5'7". Again on this play, what we saw earlier, some missed tackles by Western Kentucky. Big hole, but right there, the missed tackles. When you have missed tackles, and you're giving up 5, 6, 10 extra yards close to your goal line, you never can make that up again. You've got to play option football one-on-one, bring the guy down one-on-one.
Give a call to T.J. Anderson. A great block from this slot back position. Inside handoff. Austin to the goal line. And he will be stopped shy as Carl Maslowski there makes his 5th tackle of the day. Well, a couple of upsets in the making here as we have Western Kentucky up 24-7, and Villanova getting it done down in Lake Charles. How about the folks at Villanova? 21-7 over top-ranked McNeese State.
Well, when the intensity goes up when you get into playoff football, you can throw a lot of the pass out. It comes down to who shows up that day.
And they're signaling touchdown, but unfortunately the officials are not. As Chaz Williams tries to go across following his center, Charles Clark, the all-conference center. Patrick Reynolds, the big right end there to make the stop.
Really important, Doc, that Georgia Southern gets this ball into the end zone. Here we're coming down to the end of the 3rd quarter. They're going into the wind. They're going to have the wind in the 4th quarter if they do need to throw the ball. So going into the wind, they got to get 7 here.
3rd and a couple of inches for the Eagles. And Williams dancing around. He can't get back to the goal line. Great effort by Carl Maslowski, the right inside linebacker.
Well, now it's going to be 4th down. I think they don't have a choice here. They have got to go with this, and they've got to run the option to the outside. We talked to Chaz Williams yesterday, and in talking to him, we said, if it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, what's your favorite play? He said, option right.
All right, let's see if he calls his favorite play, 4th and goal. Here they go, option right, the pitch to Austin, and he will not get there. What an effort by Sherrod Coates, the senior out of Boynton Beach, Florida, the first team on Gateway Conference selection. And wow, efforts by Georgia Southern, they get shut out. What an effort by Western Kentucky's defense.
Boy, as you said, Doc, just a great effort. They took Georgia Southern's best play twice and stuffed it.
14 plays, no points for Georgia Southern as Western Kentucky holds at the goal line. Welcome back to the Division I AA semifinal. A bit of a shocking score here at Allen E. Paulson Stadium in Statesboro. Western Kentucky has put up 24 points in the last 3 games. The Eagles have only allowed 10 points in the playoff efforts. 2 pretty good playoff teams that they have played in their last 2 outings, Maine and Bethune-Cookman. They are down down by 17. And in the first half, Western Kentucky, Randy Wright, Western Kentucky took the ball on their own 2-yard line and went 98 yards, drove the football the length of the field and scored. So they've done this before.
And they're here again. And you look back, Doc, at that last drive, Georgia Southern had the ball 14 plays, over 5 minutes, and no points. They took a lot of time off that clock and couldn't get the ball into the end zone.
Now, if you're Mike Seawalk, you need your defense to bow their neck and stop Western Kentucky here and get the ball back in decent field position because you've got to get some points.
You're almost to the point where you've got to start going for turnovers. You've got to start trying to strip the ball away.
Looking downfield for the receiver, right off the fingertips of Jerome Reeves. Deion Stokes doing a great job on the coverage. Reeves got a hand on it. Now he's playing with a broken hand.
Boy, it was a good throw by Michael. A beautiful throw right over the outside shoulder. Good separation. Reeves was just fading away from that a little bit too much. As you saw, wanted the interference flag, but no call was a good call.
Final minute of the third quarter here. Western Kentucky and Georgia Southern. 1AA semifinal game. I'm Jerry Punch along with Randy Wright and Mike Gleason. We got a shocker here in Statesboro. A 17-point lead by the Cinderella team in the playoffs. Western Kentucky came in as the 15th ranked Hilltoppers taking on the 3rd ranked Eagles of Georgia Southern. Gain of 3 on the 3rd down run. And exactly what Georgia Southern needed to have happen to be able to stop this offense and get the ball back with decent field position.
Well, one of the reasons Western Kentucky threw the ball there on 3rd down on 2nd down, if it's incomplete, it stopped the clock. Now they can punt with the wind at their back. If they'd come out with 3 straight running plays, the quarter would have expired. They would have had to have punted into the wind. So it's a good call on 2nd down.
And Claiborne will be kicking from his own end zone. With the wind, a wobbly spot, hits on about the 40, will bounce, and now Anthony Williams will step away, and Georgia Southern will have the ball on their own 35-yard line for their 2nd possession here of the quarter. A 57-yard punt by Bryan Claiborne.
Defensive coordinator David Elson for Western Kentucky, I'm sure, had his team on the sideline telling him, okay, guys, we've got them where we want them. They're not going to be a strong throwing team. They're going to have to come out and throw more. Don't take chances. Don't go for the interception. Just knock the ball down or make the sure tackle. Don't let them get that 60-yard touchdown in one play. Make them go 10 plays to get that.
Chaz Williams and company. Chaz, a sophomore record-setting quarterback. Set the quarterback record for touchdowns in a single season at 26. Added one early here to make it 27. Has his team down by 17, and he stumbles after faking the handoff to the fullback. A little frustration there on Williams' part. Well, that'll do it for the 3rd quarter. 15 minutes of football remaining here in Statesboro. And Western Kentucky is up by 17. Getting set for the final 15 minutes here. Somewhat of a surprise. 17-point margin. Western Kentucky over Georgia Southern as they try to get on track offensively. The Eagles make the pitch to Z. Walden. And long history of success here. And one man's name who's synonymous with success here at Georgia Southern is standing by with Mike Gleason.
That's right, Doc. This is Erick Russell. He made his name for himself as the defensive coordinator at Georgia. He received or achieved legendary status as the head coach of this program. He took it over in 1982 from scratch, Coach. Never had a losing season. 3 national championships. What was your secret?
Well, good players. Good players who play good together, I guess, would be a better way to put it.
Yeah, you used to average 50 points a game in the postseason, yet you were a defensive coordinator. Where did the offensive genius come from?
Well, when you coach defense all your life, you know the things that are good on offense. And we were determined to run an option, and we started running it then, and we've been running it ever since with pretty good success, I might say.
Coach, do you think by chance they're running out of water from Eagle Creek here this afternoon? Maybe you should run and get some.
Eagle Creek is pretty much dry. We need some good pass plays, good run plays, and everything will take care of itself. Don't give up now.
Okay, thanks a lot, Coach. Erick Russell. And Doc, he earned 10 varsity letters at Auburn, the last 4-sport letterman in Auburn history. So, step aside, Bo Jackson, huh?
How about that? In 8 years here at the helm of Georgia Southern, 83 wins, 79% winning percentage, and 3 national titles. Erick Russell definitely getting it done as the head man here from 82 to 89 in Statesboro, Georgia. And he used to get the guys fired up by taking that head of his and popping helmets, little foreheads, getting them all fired up, doing a little headbutt on the sidelines. Someone needs to get these guys fired up here today.
Yeah, I tell you what, he may want to go over to the sideline and start doing that again, because if they don't, I think Mike Sewak's going to do some headbutt.
There are the 6 national titles, 3 of those 85, 86, 89, courtesy of Erick Russell, legendary football coach here at Georgia Southern.
Boy, what a tradition they've had here. The #1 Division I AA winningest program the last 5 years, 62-10.
Antonio Veals gets it as an opening inside and still on his feet and is finally chased down at the 45-yard line. 39-yard punt by Shelton and a 20-yard return by Veals. Well, we told you Erick Russell brought him a national title. Well, in 1985, the national championship game took place in Tacoma, Washington, December 21st of 85. Georgia Southern overcame a 22-point third-quarter deficit to Furman to claim the title.
For Georgia Southern.
And that was their very first title back in 1985. What an effort for those guys coming back from behind against Furman in 19. They were down 22 points in the third quarter. They came back and won 44-42.
Well, you look at here, what a program Georgia Southern has had. Postseason, 6 national titles, 29-1 here at Paulson Stadium, and that one loss was last year against Furman, I believe.
It was against Furman in the semifinals back last on December 15th.
The same game a year ago.
24-17 a year ago. They gave up 24 points to Furman. They've given up 24 today to Western Kentucky. Final quarter here for the Hilltoppers. The pitch is errant. And falling back on the ball is big Mo Bradley, the backup running back. Pressure coming from Derek Butler from his outside linebacker position.
Mo Bradley in the game because John Frazier is in the locker room having his back x-rayed from an injury he suffered earlier. Jason Michael, a sure good decision maker. This time, not so good a decision. As a player draped on him, trying to force the play and make a play. Don't need to do that. When you're ahead 24-7, don't force things to happen. Ball security is most important.
Now Frazier has come out of the locker room and runs back on the playing field. So he will be back as the tailback in the I formation. And he will get the football and be stopped for no gain at the 40-yard line. In 1954, Paul Bear Bryan took 115 football players into the drought-ridden desert of Junction, Texas. Only 35 would survive to play for him. ESPN's original entertainment presents the Junction Boys tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN following the Heisman Trophy presentation at 8 o'clock. For more, log on to ESPN.com. And a low, wobbly kick, very short kick that travels inside the 40-yard line by Bryan Claiborne, and not bad field position for Georgia Southern. Just a 21-yard punt and just 12:29 remaining here at Statesboro. Back in a moment. Santa making a stop here in Statesboro. Nice camera work, guys. Santa stopping off to watch a little Division I AA semifinal game. And on a chilly, very chilly afternoon here in Georgia. And pass intended upfield, and it's complete. At the 48-yard line, Carl Kearney making the catch after a gain of 13.
You know, Kearney caught that ball, but I'm not sure that's who Williams was trying to throw the ball to. It's the wind certainly takes it, and Cantrell was well underneath Kearney, and Kearney was actually on a fly route, saw the ball being thrown, and came back and made the catch.
A little knuckleball, a little bit of a curveball. And again, Williams wide open is Walden. 25-15, 10. It's a foot race. Touchdown, Georgia Southern.
Boy, when you need the big play, get the ball in the hands of the players that can make that. Walden, the second leading receiver, super fast, just breaks right through a seam, and Williams does a nice job recognizing the defense, getting the ball to him quickly, and then just splits that seam right through the middle. There's that quick touchdown that Georgia Southern has not been able to get to this point.
Scott Shelton trying to bring the margin to 10 points. The kick is up and good. And Georgia Southern clawing back. 47-yard pass to Walden, and he outruns the defenders. And now Georgia Southern back on the board. And concessions selling a lot of coffee and hot chocolate here on a very chilly day in Statesboro. But they're getting this home crowd warmed up a little bit after that 47-yard touchdown pass to Z. Walden, his second score of the day. Williams' 8th pass of the year and the very first touchdown pass of the season here at Paulson Stadium.
He's thrown 4 interceptions. They've all been at home. His previous 7 touchdowns were all on the road. No wonder the Georgia Southern fans don't ever want to see a pass.
They're clawing back, down by 10, as Shelton will tee it up, and Antonio Veals waiting at his own 2-yard line. Veals jumping over a couple of defenders. Well, we've seen some pretty good effort today on this field, but how about a Heisman Trophy presentation coming up tonight, presented by Wendy's? The most wide-open race in Heisman history. A couple of Miami Hurricanes, Ken Dorsey and Willis McGahee. There's a look at Carson Palmer. What an effort he had against Notre Dame. Brad Banks of Iowa. And Larry Johnson, this man at Penn State, over 2,000 yards. And the double ones on Ken Dorsey's shirt indicate possibly back-to-back national title. Those are the 5 candidates for the Heisman Trophy coming up tonight in New York. The Southern crowd making some noise now, trying to get their defense to make a stop, and they respond. Great effort by T.J. Rutledge, the middle linebacker. Rutledge in for Joe Scott, the starting middle linebacker, who was injured early in the first half.
And you can see the emotion that this Georgia Southern defense now has just displaying. The big play on offense has got this crowd into the game, and a little emotion on this defensive side. This is where the Western Kentucky offensive line, with their huge size advantage, has got to take control of this game. Their leaders, their seniors, have got to calm their offense down and just come off the ball.
Final 11 minutes and 20 seconds. See who goes to play in the national championship game. And Jason Michael pulls it out. Will get about 3 yards, but is shoved back by James Burchett. And we check in on the sidelines with Mike Leeson. Mike?
Well, Doc, Jack Harbaugh once again reminded his team that they lost the last 2 years to a Southern Conference team, Appalachian State, and then Furman. And as a matter of fact, the last time Western Kentucky played in a national title game was 1975 when they lost to Northern Michigan. And the quarterback for Northern Michigan that day was a guy by the name of Steve Mariucci. How about that?
How about that? Jack Harbaugh 0-5 in his 14 years against Southern Conference teams. They have never beaten a Southern Conference team in his 14 years as the head coach at Western Kentucky. Option right. And Jason Michael again is stopped short of the first down. And listen to this crowd.
Good pursuit by this Georgia Southern defense. Jason Michael, not really an option kind of quarterback. Not wanting to risk a turnover or pitch. Just keeps the ball himself. Georgia Southern does a nice job of stringing him out, making him run east and west, and he can't get to the corner.
Bryan Claiborne will try to kick it away. He will be kicking into this wind. It's been gusting up to 30 miles an hour on a very chilly afternoon. He has tried in the past to keep it low. This one gets up in the air, and not a bad kick into the wind. Fair catch called for at the 34-yard line by Anthony Williams. Georgia Southern down by 10, but back on offense when we come back. Statesboro, Georgia, 10 points the margin. Right now, Western Kentucky up by 10. Georgia Southern's trying to claw back. They scored on their previous possession. They have it now, 1st and 10 on their own 34. Looking downfield, wide open is Walden, and he can't hold on. At the 30-yard line, Caesarine Walden, the slot back, Had a step on the defender.
Well, I don't know if Chaz Williams will ever throw a more beautiful ball. He sits and waits, plenty of time to throw. He lets his receiver, Walden, get behind Meslowski and throws it perfectly. And Walden just lets it go right off of his fingertips. A back like Walden in an option offense isn't used to running away from the ball like that. Couldn't judge it properly.
Had the matchup they wanted. Had the slot back on the linebacker in man coverage and had him wide open again. Williams back to pass. Gets some pressure and will throw it. Almost has it picked off right in and out of the hands of the defender. That's Bryan Lauder, the junior out of Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Got a rare penalty flag down. Looked like it's going to go against Georgia Southern, but as you see right there, an opportunity for Lauder to come up with that interception. Couldn't make the big play.
Might have had a lineman downfield for the Eagles. We'll wait again for the signal from Ross Smith, our referee from the Southland Conference.
An eligible receiver downfield on the offense. That penalty is declined. Third down.
Well, it's been the passing offense that's gotten Georgia Southern back into the game. Kearney's been the go-to wide receiver with a couple of big catches, and then the big touchdown over the middle to Walden, the quick strike play. That was almost duplicated on the first play of this drive when Walden had hung onto the ball.
Georgia Southern 4 of 9 in third down conversions today. They need this one. Getting some pressure is Williams. He tries to get it to Walden and on the screen and couldn't get the football there.
Well, it was a screen, but so many times running teams don't know how to time things up when they decide to run with the screen. Pressure comes from one side and the other side doesn't get through there. So many times those things don't work. And there you had 4 white jerseys in the backfield, and Chaz Williams really had no option.
Take a look at Williams, only 19 yards rushing. He has had 10 consecutive games of rushing of at least 100 yards, setting the 1AA division record this year and has been held to under 20 yards a day. What a job by the Western Kentucky defense. What a punt, a mortar shot downfield by Georgia Southern's punter, and trying to get up across the 25-yard line. A 51-yard punt by Scott Shelton, and Antonio Veals on the return, but the flag is down on the field. Have a block in the back on the receiving team. It'll cost Western Kentucky some yards.
Illegal block in the back during the return. 10-yard penalty from the end of the run. Timeout, TV.
Well, a lot of frustration today by Georgia Southern, and Chaz Williams, their record-setting quarterback, having trouble getting the offense on track. 24-14 here at Statesboro, Georgia, Allen E. Paulson Stadium, as the homestanding Eagles of Georgia Southern in their 10th semifinal game. They're 8-1 in semifinals, and they trail here by 10 with 9:14 to play. Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky trying to hold on to the football and have the clock run.
Western Kentucky's had some success when they've opened things up. They're a running team, but they've made their big plays today through the year, spreading things around, wide receivers, running backs, and yet when it came down to the goal line, they get behind that big offensive line, which has really, Doc, done a great job all day controlling the line of scrimmage.
Oh, they have done a remarkable job. Western Kentucky, we mentioned the first time they've ever made it to the semifinal game, and they are about 8.5 minutes away from making their first trip to a national championship game in 1AA. They played twice for the national title in Division II. Ended up finishing runner-up both times. We talk about the great heritage of the Hilltopper football team. 1967 head coach was Jimmy Fikes. On that team, as assistant coaches were a guy by the name of Jerry Glanville, who went on to coach pretty well, I think, in the NFL with Houston and Atlanta, and Joe Bugle, who coached at Phoenix and Oakland. So they've had a pretty good staff, and now Jack Harbaugh, what a job he has done as 14-year head coach of the Hilltoppers.
And their tradition just starting. Take a look at that play clock, 13, 12, 10. If you're Jason Michael, you don't want to snap that ball till that gets right down to what? You're a senior, you keep your composure, you're aware of that clock. Let it get down to 2 seconds, 1 second every time.
8 of 14 in third down conversions. He's back to throw, and he will take the sack. And that is James Burchett, the junior from Richmond Hill, Georgia. And speaking of great traditions, how about the Bear? Paul Bear Bryan took 115 players into the drought-ridden desert of Junction, Texas. Only 35 would survive to play, but they would be players. ESPN's Original Entertainment presents the Junction Boys tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. There's a look at Paul Bear Bryant's record.
Talking about going from Texas A&M to Alabama, the reverse there just happened, didn't it?
Dennis Francione with Alabama to A&M. That means Francione's next move must be to Kentucky then. He's reversing Paul Bear Bryant's tracks. Dennis Francione headed down to College Station, take over the Aggies after a couple of years, successful couple of years at Alabama. Key plays of the game here in the second half have been the efforts by Western Kentucky on defense, holding Georgia Southern out of the end zone.
Oh, what a defensive stand this was. Austin on the first dive, and then Chaz Williams doesn't get in. Austin thinks he does. This is a great play right here. Early penetration and then pursuit. They lose the yard. Look at the pursuit here on the option by Coates. Gets out there. You can see the frustration in Chaz Williams. That was a huge stand that Georgia Southern kept the ball over 5 minutes, 14 plays, and came away with nothing.
Well, it's only a 10-point separation with 7.5 minutes to go. Let's take a look at the stats there. Turnovers, the big key there for Georgia Southern. The 2 turnovers, both eliciting points for Western Kentucky. The kick almost blocked. The low-line driver taken up by Anthony Williams at his own 40, cuts it back. Has a couple of blockers that he can fly. Williams is still on his feet. Has a wall far side of the field. Williams cuts it back and will be shoved out of bounds. What an effort by Williams, Anthony Williams, on the return. A 40-yard punt, a 26-yard return by Williams, a senior out of Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Georgia Southern is going for the block, so you wouldn't think you'd get a good return. You have Williams pinned in, but he gets out of that. Take a look at some of these blocks right there. Boy, what a block on Jeremy Chandler. He's still down on the ground. You see the wall form in front of Williams. What a great return, which really was what was not designed to be a return. It was designed to try and block the punt. He was out there on his own and managed to get away.
And Williams sidestepped 3 different tacklers on that return. Jeremy Chandler is the Hilltopper player that they are checking over on the sideline, checking over on the field.
He, Doc, is one of their starting cornerbacks in a situation with 7 minutes, 12 seconds to go where you'd think Georgia Southern may need to put the ball in the air. They could try and attack the area where he's going to vacate. Take a look right side. There's the hit right there. Boy, never saw it coming at all. Take a look again. Number 20 in white, right side, right there's the hit. Boy, never saw it coming at all. And did get off and is walking off pretty much under his own power. Don't know if he knows where he is.
Jeremy, a junior out of Indianapolis, Indiana. First team all-conference, the Gateway Football Conference. As you said, what an effort. Leads the team in interceptions with 5 coming into the day. What a hit here, blindsided on the punt return. Oh.
David Young, this starting strong safety. We talked about him earlier. He's not shy when it comes to it. He was the one that delivered that block.
Good to see Jeremy get up. 10-point game here. 7 minutes, just over 7 minutes to play here in Statesboro. Georgia Southern going back to the option attack, the handoff inside to Jermaine Austin.
Take a look back at the punt return. You'll see Williams trying to direct his blockers out there. He gets around. Now he knows what he's got. He sees his blue jerseys in front of him, trying to direct traffic, knowing where he wants to go. Boy, that was a nice return at a key time. Your big players have to make big plays, especially in games like this when you're down in the 4th quarter. That was a big one.
Another player down on the field, that's Albert Turner, the sophomore left guard. from Rydell, Georgia, the transfer from Carson Newman, set out a year. And he was actually replacing Reggie Cordy, who had an MCL injury against Gardner Webb early in the year. So now they'll have to have someone, probably Chad Moat, come in and as they help Albert up.
Take a look and see if we can pick up what happened to him. The left guard, number 73, generally is down in the knee area. And there you can see he kind of gets rolled up into his knees or ankles. So lower part of the body there, but seems to be coming off without too much assistance.
Yeah, I don't want to speculate on a knee or an ankle, but you saw the pile there, and he's basically his leg cut out from under him. And Chad Moat will go in to spell Albert Turner.
With Georgia Southern having the ball here, they've got the ball on the 31-yard line, wind at their back. There's plenty of time. They don't need to force things to happen. They've got enough speed, quickness in that backfield to where they can get a big play. You don't need to really come out of the rhythm of what your offense is at this point. But you got to get at least one of these drives in the end zone. You need a touchdown and a field goal to tie it. So you got to at least get one of them into the end zone.
And Chaz Williams looks to pass, steps up, steps out of the tackle, almost got away from the pursuit of Sherrod Coates, but was able to hold on.
Boy, it's nice play by Coates. As Williams, as you said, Doc, he steps up, looks like he's going to get through that first wave, but Coates comes off of his man and just trips his foot up there right before Williams gets away. That's a big play. He didn't get him by the foot there. Williams runs for big yards.
6 tackles, 3 quarterback pressures today. Great effort by Sherrod Coates, the first team All-Gateway Conference selection out of Boynton Beach, Florida. Again, Williams looks upfield, getting some pressure, has a receiver, and the ball is caught at the 20-yard line. That will be enough for the first down. Carl Kearney makes the catch.
Boy, what a nice throw by Williams. Sits in the pocket, has the patience, lets Kearney's route develop, and then just throws him a strike. Look at the patience, sits in there and throws him a perfect ball, keeping it low over the middle. Western Kentucky needs to be careful there. You want to play man-to-man against an option team, but that's where you can get some mismatches in the passing game.
Clock running, and Southern trying to get back in it, and the pass intended upfield for number 80. Boy, Carl Kearney, there might have been some contact there for Kearney as he's trying to get back to the football.
There you see Jeremy Chandler, number 20, back in the game on coverage on that play. This is not a bad throw. It's behind Kearney, but that was really pretty good coverage. If you throw that ball upfield where you're going to give your receiver a chance to get there, the free safety was sitting right there. Chances are that ball could have got intercepted. So not a bad throw by Williams to throw it down and away.
Williams 5 of 12, passing 102 yards and a touchdown today. And he will make his 13th pass attempt back across the field, and again to Williams. 20, 15, 10, 5, 3, touchdown, Georgia Southern.
Talk about Western Kentucky wanting to play man-to-man against an option team to match up, but that hurts you in the passing game. There you see Jeremy Chandler on coverage, but you've got 2 linemen out there in front. It's a throwback screen. You got 2 linemen there in front. When you got 2 linemen trying to block some defensive backs, your offense is going to win every time. Williams does a nice job, shows some patience, lets the linemen get in front and pick up those blocks. Very well designed play and perfectly executed.
20-yard touchdown reception and run by Williams, the extra point. And we've got a 3-point football game here in Statesboro, Georgia, as the Eagles of Georgia Southern are climbing back. Back in just a moment. 3-point football game here in Statesboro, Georgia. Georgia Southern roaring back here with this 20-yard play.
Look how Chaz Williams really sells the sweep to the other side. He's such a good runner. You have to respect his speed. He sprints out like that. You go there, but nothing but green grass and blue jerseys in front of Williams over on this side. Just gets into the end zone right before that ball. Boy, that ball was starting to come out by that hit there by Maslowski right before he got into the end zone. Fortunately, held on to it while he landed on the ground.
John Shelton will tee it up. Final 5 minutes and 40 seconds here in the 4th quarter. If you just joined our coverage at halftime, it was 17-7. Western Kentucky up by 10. At the end of 3 quarters, Western Kentucky was up by 17, 24-7. And Now Georgia Southern has roared back with 2 consecutive scoring drives. That one 5 plays, 35 yards, a minute 30 seconds. There are 2 drops total, a minute 52 seconds for 14 points. And we have a 3-point football game here in Statesboro.
And that's so key, Doc, the fact that they've been able to score quickly. That last drive, they only had to go 35 yards. Now they have all 3 of their timeouts left. It's up to their, they have 2 of their timeouts left. It's up to their defense to come up with either a good stand or turnover.
Western Kentucky has 5 total yards this quarter, and now subtract some from that. As Winston Hardison, he is the rush end, the senior out of Palm Bay, Florida, gets his 5th sack of the year. Couldn't have happened at a better time for the Eagle faithful.
Boy, it was, and just a poor angle taken by Joe Washington to try and block Hardison. When you try and throw on first down and you get a sack, now you've got 2nd and 15. They're throwing into the wind. They may tend to keep the ball on the ground these next couple of plays because it's all that much more difficult to throw and pick it up, especially with this strong wind. But boy, 15 yards is a lot to get with running plays.
102 yards of offense for Georgia Southern. And now they hand it off here on the near side, and that is Rooney, the wide receiver, who will get up across the 25 near the 30. I believe he'll still be shy about a yard, and a flag comes in late. Maybe a late hit over on the sidelines. Gain of 13 by Casey Rooney.
Boy, the flag was so late, though, and it was Rooney that was over here again. He tried to stay in bounds to keep the clock running, but there were too many Georgia Southern players over there, forced him out of bounds. Huge mistake to run that ball out of bounds.
As they talk it over and see, this could be a very interesting penalty here if it. Don't want to speculate as to who or where it's going.
The Georgia Southern players are indicating it's going to go against Western Kentucky.
After the play, personal foul on the offense. Half distance to the ball, 3rd down.
Boy, you've got to think that's going to be on Casey Rooney. He was the only player over there, at least the only one that we could see. Take a look at the play here. It's the reverse. Rooney comes around. Nice block by Joe Washington, 77, to give Rooney the corner. He tries to stay in bounds. But boy, you really don't see much else out. Let's see from this angle. Now, Rooney's on the ground. See if we can see something up here, because the flag came in very, very late. Oh, there's the head. He hit him in the head. He hit Whitaker in the head with his right hand.
Now, Whitaker, in fairness to Rooney, Whitaker looked like he had a forearm in his chin. So when they went down, so I'm sure Rooney a little fired up. But you've got to maintain your composure and your poise and play smart.
Jack Harbaugh may leave Casey Rooney here today. He may not bring him back with him.
Timeout. Jason Michael will call a timeout and go over and talk to Jack Harbaugh and discuss the 3rd and 16. Less than 5 minutes to play in this semifinal game. Once again, a personal foul on Casey Rooney. Look at the forearm on 26, Whitaker, right in the throat of Rooney, and obviously he's pretty upset. He comes back and pops Whitaker on the helmet, and it's always the retaliation the officials see.
And this was earlier in the game. That caused one of the first unsportsmanlike against Rooney and left him on the bench for the rest of the half.
All right, we got time on here. Let's check in quickly with Reese Davis back in the studio. Reese?
All right, Jerry, it is getting tight at Lake Charles. Villanova up by 7 on McNeese State. Andrew Robin going to break a couple of tackles, get into the end zone, and Cowboys were all set to tie it until the Wildcats rise up and block the extra point. So Nova still clinging to the lead. It is down to 1.
Reese, potentially 2 huge upsets in the making today in these semifinal games. One down in Lake Charles, and Western Kentucky trying to hold on here. 3rd and 16. They are 8 of 15 today on 3rd down conversion. Michael back to pass, looks upfield, overthrows the intended receiver, and that will turn the ball over and stop the clock.
Well, strange play calling on this drive for Western Kentucky. They start with a pass and get sacked, and then they run out of bounds, which is not the play call. It's a good play call. They go out of bounds, they get the penalty. Now they throw the ball here. They've got to punt into the wind. Georgia Southern's got 2 timeouts left and will have what looks to be excellent field position.
Indeed, they should have, because Bryan Claiborne will have to punt into this wind that's been gusting up to 25 to 30 miles an hour. Low line drive punt. Wind catches the punt. It hits on the 41. Williams picks it up on the 41 down the near sidelines and steps out of bounds at about the 32. Wow, great field position. A 33-yard punt, 15-yard return by Anthony Williams.
Good heads-up play there by Williams to see when the ball bounced. It was a favorable bounce. It's going to come right up to him. He looks up, sees that the white jerseys are a good 5 yards away. Why not take the chance? Because if not, you have enough time to fall right on. Good heads-up play.
Take a look at home sweet home, 126-13 all-time at Paulson Stadium here. We're talking about the Eagles, 29-1 in playoffs. Their only loss coming in the semifinals a year ago here against the Paladins of Furman.
Well, because of the good field position, they can continue to run their option offense.
And inside, 15-10-5, touchdown. Georgia Southern takes the lead. 31-yard run by the redshirt freshman Jermaine Austin puts the Eagles on top.
When the backs went to the left, a couple of missed tackles, and that leads to huge plays. That's the 12th missed tackle today by this Western Kentucky defense.
And the extra point is up and good. And Austin's 18th carry for 128 yards. And remarkably, what an effort here in the fourth quarter. Georgia Southern was down by 17 points after 3 quarters. And take a look again at Jermaine Austin, the redshirt freshman.
Well, you saw the backs going to the left. They surprised Western Kentucky, bring Austin to the right. You saw the missed tackles, and there's nothing but green grass ahead. And boy, what a change of events as you look at the celebration over on the Georgia Southern sideline. What a change of events. After that strong goal line stand by Western Kentucky earlier, it's been all Georgia Southern.
You think these fans here don't love their Eagles at Georgia Southern? I mean, there's a celebration on the field for the redshirt freshman. 1,288 yards rushing this year. He was named Southern Conference Freshman of the Year. But this game is far from over. Just under 4.5 minutes to go, and Western Kentucky will get the football back, but they have struggled here in the fourth quarter. We're talking about the Hilltoppers on offense.
They've struggled mightily on offense, and you'd think they need to open it up and throw the ball a little bit more, but they're going to have to do that into a strong wind, and it's not a crosswind. It is going right into their face.
Antonio Veals waits to receive this kick from Shelton, and Veals in his own end zone will bring it out from 6 yards deep. 15-yard line, big hole up to 20, and will get positive yardage up to about the 24 for Western Kentucky.
Good decision by Veals to bring that out. You have to try and make a play, and he is so capable of doing that on special teams. Good decision.
Let's go to Mike Gleason on the sidelines. Mike?
Well, Doc, you had mentioned Chad Mote came in for the injury the last possession. He's an offensive guard for Georgia Southern, a redshirt freshman. He's cherishing every play. They've scored twice. You see, in high school, he lost every game his sophomore, junior, and senior season. He told me sometimes they lost by as many as 70 points. People would come to the high school to see the band play. The band had 300 members. They only had 40. So the reason he came to Georgia Southern, he said, because they win national championships. So he is one guy over on the Georgia Southern sideline that is really, really cherishing the moment.
And indeed he should be as we take a look at the 6 national titles. Georgia Southern trying to hold on and stop Western Kentucky, who has basically led for much of this football game. Western Kentucky up by 10 at halftime, 17-7, up by 17 points at the end of 3 quarters. And now find themselves trailing here in the final 3.5 minutes, and nothing doing for John Frazier. Nowhere to go. Take a look at the fourth quarter. We talked about Georgia Southern's dominance in this final 15 minutes. 133 yards to zip for the Hilltop.
Boy, and there they just had a nice first down play, but came back on 2nd and short and got stuffed. these receivers are trying to get a little physical, trying to block downfield, and then you're seeing a little frustration coming out, too, on both sides.
These guys playing for a chance to go play for a national championship. 3 minutes to go here in the semifinal at Statesboro, Georgia. Option and smothered by James Burchett, the inside linebacker, on the 3rd and short. That'll bring up a 4th down. He did not get there, so 4th and about a foot.
Well, you can see Western Kentucky's hesitancy to put this ball in the air as they haven't thrown it here. Now on 4th and short, they're pretty much going to have to go for it. They do have 2 timeouts remaining, but I don't think they have any confidence their defense can stop Georgia Southern.
And these fans are on their feet. This could be the play that will determine the football game. 2 tight ends for the Hilltoppers. 4th and a foot on their own 34. Michael has the big fullback. He gives the tailback, and the tailback will get up near the 35. It depends on the spot. They will probably spot him. Looks like they may spot the football right at the 35. If indeed they do, it should be enough for the first down.
I think it will, Doc. I think it'll be a first down. Good hard run by John Frazier. Follows his big fullback, but there was contact made right at about the line of scrimmage, and it was good second and third effort by Frazier, keeping those legs moving, and he should clearly, as he does, have this first down. But the clock starts again. We're down to 2 minutes.
See Jack Harbaugh trying to give his quarterback to hurry up. So Jason, we got to get going.
Part of option running teams, they don't get themselves very familiar with how to run a 2-minute offense.
Back to pass, has a receiver, and it will one-hop it up toward the intended receiver. That's Jerome Reeves. That will stop the clock.
Well, you can see that Reeves is open, runs a nice route, runs off the defensive back Stokes. Just a poorly thrown ball that comes up short. Good news is the clock does stop at incompletions, and in the college game it also stops with first down. So if they can complete some balls, they don't have to be deep passes. They can be short passes as long as they'll get the first down or get out of bounds.
Jason Michaels, 5 of 9 for 86 yards passing today and a touchdown. Final minute 48 of a semifinal game here in Statesboro. Michael back to pass, looks upfield, has a receiver over the middle. It's a tailback, John Frazier. He will be down near the first down stick. Should have enough for another first down for Western Kentucky.
And he does, and that's why the clock will be stopped, but you still can't take your time. You could gather your troops in, but you got to hurry up, get to the line of scrimmage. Once the chains are set, the referee will blow the whistle. You already have your play called, then you don't have to waste much time.
Remarkable comeback in the 4th quarter by Georgia Southern. Now Western Kentucky trying to get back on the scoreboard. Has the ball tipped at the line of scrimmage, nearly picked off. Again, if you just joined our coverage at halftime, Western Kentucky, the 15th ranked team, up by 10, 17-7 over 3rd ranked Georgia Southern. At the end of 3 quarters, they had a 17-point lead, 24-7, but the 4th quarter has been owned by Georgia Southern. What an effort by Mike Seawalk's Eagles of Georgia Southern, as they are roared back to take a 4-point lead here in the final minute 25. And we welcome those of you who join us who have been watching that great game down in Lake Charles, Louisiana. We are in Statesboro, Georgia at Allen E. Paulson Stadium. I'm Jerry Punch along with Randy Wright and Mike Gleason. What a comeback here in the 4th quarter by Georgia Southern. At halftime, Western Kentucky, the number 15 ranked team, up by 10, 17-7. They were up by 17 at the end of 3 quarters. And Georgia Southern has roared back as that pass is tipped. And it'll be ruled an incomplete pass, and that's fortunate for Western Kentucky because the clock will stop as Freddie Piscata in to tip the ball out of the hands of Jason Michael.
Well, it was a fortunate call that it was an incompletion. Even though Michael went down and picked the ball up, the clock does stop, and it gives him a chance to regroup. I'm surprised they didn't try and sprint Michael out on 4th and 3, 4th and 4. He's got some good mobility. Sprint him out, shorten the field, let him run for it if he can't get it through the air.
4th and 4. This could be the play of the game for the Hilltoppers. Receiver And he makes the catch. Great catch by the fullback, 275-pound Jeremy Johnson out of Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, their second leading receiver on the team, the man their coach told us has the best hands on the team, catches his first pass of the game at the biggest play of the game, at least for Western Kentucky at this point.
And a 17-point lead entering the fourth quarter. They now trail by 4 with just over a minute to play. And that sack will keep the clock running as Western Kentucky will be forced to use a timeout.
That's okay. You run the quarterback draw, try and catch them off guard by surprise. You're down now by the 30-yard line. You've got your 2 timeouts. Good call. Go ahead and call your timeout.
Jack Harbaugh, the 14-year head coach at Western Kentucky, knows that these kids have played so hard, basically dominated for 3 quarters here. First time that the Hilltoppers have ever been in the semifinal game. Mike Seawalk. These guys have been here quite a bit. A 6-time national champion. It's his first year, though, as the head coach here in Statesboro after serving 5 years as an offensive coordinator under Paul Johnson, who left to take the head coaching job at the Naval Academy.
And Doc, I think you see the way this game has unfolded. Western Kentucky has controlled the entire first 3 quarters, but because of the tradition and Mike Seawalk and where his team has been over the last couple of years and what they've done, his team didn't give up. They knew how to come back, and they got themselves back in this game.
And we've got a close one going on down in Lake Charles. It's Villanova trying to pull off the upset. They pretty much led that football game. They over top-ranked McNeese State. That's one's taking place down in Lake Charles, Louisiana. And the 2 winners, well, they will get a chance to go to Finley Stadium, Davenport Field, next Friday for the 1AA National Championship game, Friday, December 20th. Franklin, Mike Godfrey, Adrian Carson and company will be down there. Pass toward the end zone, and it's caught. And will they mark him in bounds? It's caught at the 3-yard line. The completion to Casey Rooney. 30 yards on the pass.
What a play by Casey Rooney. The ball underthrown. Rooney goes up, times his jump, and comes down and somehow manages to stay in bounds. Great coverage. You only need 1 foot in college ball. Watch the left foot. The left foot gets in bounds, and the right foot doesn't matter. You only need a great catch. Nice job by the official being right on top of it.
That's the side judge, Joe Bradley, out of the Southland Conference, making a great call, and great effort by Rooney to get a foot down.
They need the touchdown. You're down by 4, so you got to get the ball in the end zone.
2 tight ends. Here goes Michael looking for the end zone, and he's a touchdown. Western Kentucky. Wow, that's what it's all about. Laying it on the line in a semifinal playoff game. There is no tomorrow for the team that doesn't win this. What an effort by these 2 football teams.
Good for Casey Rooney, who has struggled today with a couple of unsportsmanlikes and got in the doghouse, sat on the bench for the rest of the first half. To come back and make a play like that put his team into position to go to the national final. What a great play by Rooney and a great drive engineered by Jason Michael.
And the extra point is up and good. It's very important because it makes it a 3-point margin for Western Kentucky. But Georgia Southern still has 45 seconds to play with.
Good job here by Jason Michael, running this thing out to the side, not trying to cut it up too quick, going ahead and stretching that out, and then just breaking the tackle. Good strong run right there. Breaks the tackle of James Young.
And look at the reaction on the Hilltoppers sidelines. What an effort here in a seesaw game. 45 seconds to play. Let's check back in the studio with Reese Davis. Reese?
All right, Gary, some other 49 yards. He houses it. 2-point conversion, no good. McNeese up by 5. Still 14 minutes to go in that game.
Wow, the 2 favorites having to claw back and take the lead. McNeese comes back and takes the lead over Villanova. McNeese heavily favored, top-ranked team. And here, Georgia Southern had to come back and take the lead. And now Western Kentucky has come back on that effort by Jason Michael to go up by 3 with 46 seconds to play.
Well, what a nice job there by Jason Michael. Running that 2-minute offense, something he's not familiar with. They don't get a lot of practice. You have a lot of plays that you have in your offense, but you don't have a lot of experience running them. Managed the clock very well, picked up that key 4th and three where they got the first down. Just a very well-directed drive.
Better get on the football. The sky kick picked up by Williams at his 25, and that's where Georgia Southern will start here in the final 39 seconds of this. I'll give a call to Jack Harbaugh, his coaching staff, Willie Taggart and Kevin Leitner, the offensive co-coordinators, David Elson, the defensive coordinator. Harbaugh, the 14-year head coach at Western Kentucky. Third consecutive trip to the playoffs, fourth time in 6 years, and they had never made it to the semifinals. And they are 39 seconds away from playing for a 1AA national championship. Williams back to pass, and he will be smothered under by Sherrod Coates, the all-conference outside linebacker.
Need to call a quick timeout here. The one thing you can't take is the sack if you're Georgia Southern, because it takes way too long to get all your players back. You got to call the timeout. If you're Chaz Williams, you got to throw the ball away.
And that young man there has had a heck of a day. Jason Michael, the fifth-year senior out of Louisa, Kentucky. In January, he will go to Knoxville, Tennessee, and become a GA for Philip Fulmer at the University of Tennessee. Try to learn some of the coaching ranks and getting some hugs by some of the staff there at Western Kentucky. What an effort. The Army transfer. Went to the U.S. Military Academy, West Point, back in 1998. Was redshirted, transferred to Western Kentucky in 99, where he started for 7 games, won 6, and then ended up being a backup for 2 years. But perseverance has paid off for Jason Michael as a senior, a fifth-year senior. He may just lead his team to a national championship game.
Well, listening to Jack Harbaugh, as we were talking to him yesterday, talk about Jason Michael. It reminded me of Jack talking about his own son, Jim Harbaugh, who's had tremendous success, of course, as a quarterback. And you have to really respect the guy who's gone through what Michael has to come back and have the success that he's had this year.
That's complete upfield, and getting out of bounds is Carl Kearney, who makes the catch and wisely steps out of bounds after a gain of 12. That will get the first down, but more importantly, stops the clock.
And this is a good decision. You don't need to try and get it all at one time. Get 10, 12, 15 yards, stop the clock, get out of bounds, get the kind of field position so that if you need to throw a Hail Mary, you can at least get the ball into the end zone.
Back to pass again, Williams, and almost has it picked off by Jeremy Chandler, who leads the team in interceptions.
Good play by Chandler here. Good coverage, looking into the backfield, stays where he's supposed to stay. And then, boy, you're right, he had a great opportunity to try and catch that ball. Went right through his hands off of his helmet. That could have ended the game right there.
.25 seconds to play here in a chilly Statesboro, Georgia, Allen E. Paulson Stadium. Western Kentucky, the Cinderella story, trying to hold on. For what would be a 3-point upset of third-ranked Georgia Southern. Downfield, the pass is nearly picked off, intended for P.J. Cantrell. Again, Chandler on the cover.
Western Kentucky doing a nice job keeping the receivers in front of them. Nobody gets behind us. If they make a catch, we can tackle them in front of us. Chaz Williams, seeing that, come underneath. Get the ball into your guys' hands. Let them run with it. Let them get out of bounds. Get the ball at least to the Western Kentucky 40-yard line. Then I can get the ball in the end zone if we need to with a Hail Mary.
And you saw the nerves of some of the Hilltopper fans who made the trip down from Western Kentucky from Bowling Green as the final seconds tick away. Here is Williams directing traffic. Has the receiver upfield. It's Kearney, and he will make the catch inside the 45 with 7 seconds to play.
Oh, nice job by Chaz Williams, buying some time, keeping his eyes downfield. He finds Kearney, And this is a tough throw. Going to your right, throwing it back across your body. That's a tough throw. Kearney does a great job, though. Catch it, sees it, tries to get out of bounds. Didn't matter, though. They do have the one timeout. Now they've got the ball close enough with 7 seconds to go. They've got the ball close enough to where Williams can get the ball, especially with the wind at his back, can get it all the way into the end zone.
Well, Georgia Southern has used their final timeout here to talk about it. Now they are without a timeout, 7 seconds to play. And here's what happened a moment ago to put Western Kentucky back on top. A great catch at the 1-yard line by Casey Rooney. And then diving across for a touchdown, Jason Michael with the Hilltoppers back on top by 3.
Doc, you take a look at that touchdown right there. That was really pretty well defensed. It was just a missed tackle, and Michael breaking that tackle, getting into the end zone.
I guess you don't have a lot of choice here, Randy. If you're Mike Seawalk and what you do offensively, no timeouts, 7 seconds to play, down by 3.
You got to throw it up in the air. Now, Carl Kearney, 6'1", the tallest receiver, number 80, the tallest receiver against a group of defensive backs that are 5'9" and 5'10".
And out of bounds is Kearney. Now remember, their field goal kicker, Scott Shelton, has kicked from 51 yards against Bethune-Cookman.
And he is 3 for 3 from plus 40 yards. As long as 51.
He actually, that was against Bethune-Cookman, has hit 5 of his last 7. This will be a 56-yard attempt to tie it here in the final 4 seconds. The kick is up with the wind, and it is no good. Wide right and just a bit short. And now the celebration will begin for Western Kentucky as the Hilltoppers are on their way to Chattanooga, Tennessee to play for their first ever Division I AA National Championship.
Well, you saw 2 great teams today. One with a program built on tradition, the other one trying to get there. Georgia Southern fights back, doesn't give up, gets themselves back into this game with the lead. But Western Kentucky trying to establish that. The Jack Harbaugh program comes back and pulls out. What a great game played by a good group, good winners on both sides.
And the congratulations now taking place on the sidelines. And here again, the 56-yard field goal attempt by Shelton. Scott Shelton almost got it there. It was actually long enough, just a little bit wide right with the swirling winds. And Shelton dejected, but immediately his teammates come over to console him. He at least gave him a shot with the strength of his leg. Remarkable effort today by 2 great football teams. And what an effort by Jack Harbaugh's Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. Speaking of Coach Harbaugh, our Mike Gleason is caught up with him. Mike?
Well, Jack, I guess if you're going to do it, you might as well do it in dramatic fashion, huh?
I feel like I've been here before. This is exactly the circumstances of last week. Before we do anything, before I ask a question, I want to say hello to my children, Jim, John, Joni, grandkids, Maya, Ingrid, Tom Green. I'm thinking about you and love you all. And one other special guy, Bo Schembeckler. You'll never know how much I enjoyed that conversation, Bo. And this is your kind of ball game. This was your kind of ball game.
All right, Coach, it's 24-7. You're up. You come up with a great goal line stand. It should have been over, but momentum shifted. What were you telling your guys when they took the lead?
I never believed that they could, with the option offense, they could throw the ball and move the ball in the air that well against our defense. And all the credit to them because they did a fantastic job. We wanted to win in the 3rd quarter to try to put some points on the board and get a 3-score lead and then force them to do exactly what they did and did very well. So tremendously proud of these kids and coaching staff, and what a great thing for all of us, huh?
Well, that's a credit to the coaching staff because I'm telling you, your offense stalled, and unless you were down here on the field, people don't know how strong the wind was. You can't punt against the wind, you can't pass, and yet you had the game-winning drive.
Well, it shows that at Western Kentucky, all those fans back there that wondered about our passing game. I guess we can throw a little bit well enough to be able to do it. But Jason Michael, our quarterback, and our entire football team tremendously difficult week for our program, but it shows you the character of our coaching staff and our players that we were able to rally. And we're going to Chattanooga. In your life, did you ever think that we're going to Chattanooga? Huh?
That was a long 30 seconds. Your thoughts as he's kicking the football. Your heart fluttering at all?
Really, I thought I'd been there. I mean, last week in Macomb at Western Illinois University, it was exactly the same situation. I mean, kicking it, and I think he missed it exactly on the side of the goal post that he missed it, and exactly as short as he missed it. So we've been there one time. It wasn't anything that we hadn't seen just 7 days ago.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Going to the national championship game. First time for Western Kentucky, Doc, since 1975 when they were Division II. Let's go back upstairs.
And they will head to Chattanooga. Who will they play? Well, much of the country will head back to Lake Charles and find out as McNeese State and Villanova getting it done down in Lake Charles.